Get her up.
Welcome in on a Wednesday morning as the crowd starts to dwindle, Patrick, even though today will be another big day here at SEC Media Day as several schools that you're going to want to pay attention to will be heading to the podium. Just if I say, I guess, Patrick, we were just talking about it on our live stream, but I guess when I say several schools you want to pay attention to, four opponents for the University of South Carolina, Arkansas and Georgia this morning, Florida and Kentucky this afternoon. But I can tell you, the contingent here starting to wear down. Not just me, and last night was actually a pretty early night for me. We had a little event at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Then I was back in bed and watching the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. I think a sign of my age there starting to show. But it is the excited group of media nerds that's over here starts to wear down a little bit after basically 3 nights on the town, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday, and then 2 days here in the Omni and at the College Football Hall of Fame. But it's been fun so far. And yesterday, Shane Beamer, Patrick, I think no news, but you got to give it an A+ from Justin King to the way they left.
Yeah, don't you always at this point? I mean, I didn't really know. I didn't know how that came together, that Soldier Boy video, but I liked hearing the inside scoop that basically Shane's getting ready to go to media days, and Justin King calls him and said, "I'm coming to pick you up," and then has the whole thing already planned out and all the players waiting. That's pretty cool. But he crushed it. That's what he does. He went viral. Literally everyone was talking about that, not just college football, not just sports media. It was all over the place. That might be the most viral video Shane Beaver's had since he's been in South Carolina, I would assume. I don't know if anything's compared to that. They have to. They have to. Actually, no, once these kids are like all in middle school, maybe they'll start getting embarrassed by it. They're too, because right now his kids are really young, and
I think the daughters are.
They might be older.
Yeah, I think the daughters are a little bit older.
But also, if everyone at schools talk about how cool your dad is, then you're not going to be like, "Oh, Dad, you're so embarrassing."
Yeah, I mean, look, what happens at school comes down to are you winning or not. And if you're winning and doing things, the kids don't care. But yesterday,
a common theme of the reaction to that video was basically, this is what Dabo wishes that he could be doing on a day-to-day basis. When he does something cringy, this is what he's going for. Yeah. Dabo got dragged pretty good for doing the gritty the other day.
Yeah, he did. And it was a thing where, South Carolina, obviously, Justin King is the absolute best in the business when it comes to right now just promotional videos like that, where you're trying to sell your program, you're trying to sell your head coach, you're trying to sell the culture and the fun that Shane Beamer's trying to instill in this program. And obviously yesterday, the funny thing was, I don't know what you guys were doing. I left here, got listened to Nick Saban when we were done. And we'll get into that a little bit this morning, play a lot of audio for you throughout the morning from yesterday. We'll replay that Shane Beamer interview that he did with Heath Klein, the one-on-one that he did. And we'll get you that audio. We'll also get some stuff from David Cutcliffe, which was very good on Spencer Rattler talking with Heath yesterday, and as well as a few player interviews. In case you missed anything, you can sit back and relax, and we will get you through the morning. But yeah, I went back and took a nap afterwards to just kind of catch up and get ready for the rest of the day. And I wake up and my phone and Twitter had just gone insane. And so it took me about 5 minutes to kind of figure out, Justin King decided to completely break the internet yesterday. And that was all the talk. I did a couple different radio spots down here in Atlanta, and that was usually about the second or third question. And right now, is it Dabo-esque? Some people I saw were asking that, and yes, to an extent, that was something that Dabo would do. I don't think he has the creative media team that can come up with stuff like that, but I think Dabo would have done it. But Dabo sold a culture of fun. winning football games and having fun, and it resonated. And right now, Shane Beamer is selling a culture of having fun, of going to work. He talked about that yesterday a little bit, how hard college football is, but he wants guys that want to come to the facility to work out. They want to be around their teammates. They want to be around coaches. They want to come and where it's not a job. And Patrick, maybe we read too much into it. Maybe at times we're too critical of Will Muschamp. But the one thing I took away again from yesterday is that right now South Carolina football 7-6 last year, okay, 7-6, but that South Carolina football right now is fun. That the culture is fun, and that's at least a good start because the previous regime, I don't know if we could say the culture was fun down there.
No, I mean, Shane definitely took a little bit of a shot at him because he said that. He said in the past people haven't had fun coming to the building to come to work every day. But then also, I think that question was asked to the players several times, and the players they're all Muschamp recruits, so they all still like Muschamp. And I was interested. I was trying to hear if they would say something like, "Oh yeah, it's way different now. It's so much better," and no one insinuated that. So it is as much as the new guys probably would have no problem talking about how the vibe used to be in South Carolina or the fans from afar and everything. I think the older players still are not going to say a bad word about Muschamp. Like, they still do love him, which does say something about how he was running the program. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a rundown of Will Muschamp, the human being and the relationships he built with players. Obviously, those relationships and personality with players is entirely different than the ones that you feel like he created amongst the fan base. But you're right, they do like the fan base, or excuse me, the players did respect him. But yeah, I don't know if you ever labeled the Will Muschamp era as fun.
Very workmanlike, yeah.
Workmanlike, yeah. I mean, just and so that is one thing that goes back to that video yesterday. Is in terms of South Carolina. That video yesterday will not win football games this coming fall, but it does again continue to resonate. I saw several recruits that are out there yesterday retweeting the video and kind of making comments about it. And, college football in the era of name, image, likeness, and recruiting blue chips and getting talent into your program, that kind of stuff is marketing material, and that's what you put out there. And yesterday, just before Shane could even get to Atlanta, they had already hit a home run, and then the way that they conducted themselves here, DeCarrion Joyner, Javon Gwynn, Zach Pickens, all very thoughtful, did a very good job of handling media and questions. I watched them go up and down Radio Row here and not just do interviews on our particular station, but do some in Arkansas and Jacksonville, different places like that. So it was a good day for them. And then, you wrapped up with Shane Beamer on the podium, and I thought he had some interesting points. Nothing that I took away from when, oh, okay, that changes my opinion of anything. But Patrick, I thought on the podium yesterday, Shane Beamer again tried to express the culture that he is building at the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, and that was what we expected. It was just the same energy as his press conference and every time that he's had to or gotten the opportunity to sort of wax poetic about this school and everything that he loves about it and why everyone else should love it just as much. And he would talk for 14 minutes. I haven't watched all of the speeches. I think Clark Lee apparently had a very long introduction, or I guess preamble before the questions, and Shane went 14 minutes. So he said his over-under was 17, and he went 14, and it was what you always expected, how much he loves Columbia, how great the fan base is, how much he loves the environment they're building, loves being the coach of South Carolina, and just basically 14 minutes of giddiness at how happy he is to be here.
We'll get you a lot of that audio this morning. That way, in case you've missed anything from yesterday, we will let you hear that. Again, we'll get you that Shane Beamer one-on-one interview with Heath Klein from yesterday as well. That was an exclusive here with 107.5 The Game. We'll get you a little bit of audio as well. David Cutcliffe, renowned quarterback coach, sat down with Heath late yesterday afternoon as well, and had some interesting things to say about Spencer Rattler. And Patrick, the one thing I will say that was good yesterday, and sounds kind of crazy, it wasn't centered around Spencer Rattler. There were obviously going to be questions, but it wasn't just, hey, this guy, this guy, this guy. There was other things that they went to, and not just a one person focus that I thought could have easily happened throughout the day.
Yeah, and I think that was the goal of not the main goal of not bringing him, but it would just draw more attention to him, and it felt like everyone sort of got their moment. I didn't think like a lot of times when you do media with players, even at University of South Carolina, when there's availability early in camp, you'll see one player get 15 minutes of questions or quarterbacks get 20 minutes of questions. And then some players, there'll be no one around them and they'll get like 2 minutes of questions. So it would have been just Spencer would have gotten all the attention, but Shane drew the attention to three guys that have all or are about to graduate from South Carolina, that are all seniors, that have all been leaders on the team or captains on the team. And just it was a sort of like him proving that it's more about the overall team and the culture than just one individual player. And you couldn't avoid the Spencer questions. I think it was the first or second question he got, but yeah, he made it far more about the team, and that's probably the right thing to do, even though Spencer Rattler is obviously going to be the biggest reason for success or failure this year.
We'll talk a lot about South Carolina yesterday. Obviously, get a lot of audio to get to, but we will also get into some other things said yesterday. As Nick Saban was at the podium, and Saban says some good stuff. You know, he makes some good points, but in the manner in which he does it here, Patrick, that may be the last time I go out of my way to go down and catch Nick Saban, because you do a radio show for 3 hours. Thankfully, I'd had a little bit of coffee, but boy, Nick Saban, there are pieces of cardboard that are more entertaining to listen to.
You notice that Coward from Georgia didn't have the stones to ask Nick Saban about Georgia's tight end personnel.
Yeah, you wasn't gonna. That would have gotten him.
He's asked multiple coaches about it. He's just one dude just can't stop asking about Georgia's tight end room, but he didn't ask Nick Saban.
Didn't dare ask King Nick what he may or may not think about that. Probably the right move. We'll get into that a little bit. A couple other coaches. Mike Leach. I missed Mike Leach yesterday, but we may get into a little bit.
If you blinked, you missed his opening statement. So
I was gonna say, I was up here and I could look where we're sitting. You can't hear down there, so all I can do is kind of look down there and just see kind of what's going on. But I was up here, and I was actually further down, almost doing a radio interview down there, and I just started getting text messages like, "Well, what do you think about that opening statement?" And I was like, "What did Leach say? What did he possibly?" What could he possibly say? So we'll get into a little bit more of what happened yesterday to Travis on our live stream. Travis, I actually missed this until late last night, I think, or late yesterday afternoon. Clark Lee saying that eventually Vanderbilt will be the best program in the country. Well, I mean, what else are you supposed to say at media day, right, Patrick? Just put it out there and make sure everybody knows you're coming for them, right?
There are things to be excited about in Vanderbilt. Their new stadium athletic facility project is going to be awesome, but yeah, they won't be the best in the country.
It was entertaining to say the least. Very fun day here. We will continue on as the media now starts to wear down. But today's a big day. Defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs roll in here this morning. Good news, I guess. There was nobody waiting for us at the front door, Patrick. There was no crazed Georgia fans. We got Shannon, our Alabama ring hat guy, to give our lovely Miss Jen a birthday shout out yesterday. He was more than happy to do that. Not real sure what the other guy was doing with the wrestling kit up, but Shannon made his rounds amongst the media as well, as he has actually become a bit of a fan favorite around here because of his dedication. So we'll get into all that this morning. Again, coming up here, 9:05 this morning, Arkansas coach Sam Pittman, who is usually pretty interesting to listen to. He'll be on the main stage right after we wrap up. Kirby Smart, again, will come in this morning at 10:30 to the main stage. And then this afternoon, Billy Napier and Mark Stoops. So we'll get into a lot of that this morning, as well as a lot of audio. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Patrick Brett, and Jen Jensen, live from the College Football Hall of Fame here at SEC Media Days. It's 107.5 The Game. All right. I think Justin is absolutely the best in the business, David. He has been absolutely fantastic. I agree, RL. The pyrotechnics in the building, yes, that was something. I agree. Good morning, Anthony. Jerry, good morning to everybody. Hope y'all are all doing well out there this morning. Hopefully we answered some of that there. Certainly we'll continue to talk about it, get more audio out of it. The chance of having Justin King, I'm sure he might be able to do that.
I don't know if I've ever heard him talk.
I've talked to him. He was here yesterday.
He
Also,
doesn't.
he kind of prefers to stay in the background just a little bit, but yeah, we can check into it. We can definitely check into it.
Provide on the front end a maximum fee pledge for certain modification and support matters. The bottom line is that to be a partner men can count on, we have to think about all their needs, and attorney fees are no exception.
Online at CordellCordell.com, 1201 Main Street, Suite.
Did you see this kid Jamal Jarrett's commitment video, Bill?
Huh?
Did you see this kid Jamal Jarrett's
The
commitment
one
video?
where he put the North Carolina thing up and then did the little meme that said that's the wrong number and switched to Georgia.
Yeah.
Fight! That's the wrong number.
That's wild.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't really care for that. Like,
That is wild.
I mean, it's just like, what are you trying to like? Unless North Carolina just did something to him, you know what I'm saying? Like, unless something happened in recruiting that I'm unaware of that North Carolina did to him, like, it's not really it's not really necessary to burn a bridge like that. But whatever. Oh man. One more day and then come home and get in my bed.
What time are you leaving tomorrow?
I think we're leaving at around 3-ish, I think. It depends. I think Jay said with some audio and stuff, we might leave at 2, 3 at the latest.
What about Heath?
He is flying back to Raleigh. He will fly back
After the show?
9:55, I think is when his flight is Thursday night.
He's soaking up every second he can of this.
He's just in heaven. He didn't stay at Mercedes-Benz. I mean, I had fun there. It wasn't nearly what it was a couple years ago, thankfully. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even try and do the post post bar thing. I just came on back and watched a little bit of the All-Star game and then went to bed.
Heath left because there was too much non-football talk.
Talk about that later. I'm gonna. It was entertaining. It was fun though. Tomorrow at 7:45, we got one of the directors of the College Football Hall of Fame coming by to join us for a few minutes. That'll be fun because it is a really cool facility that if you can ever come to, you should come to.
How many Hall of Fames have you been to?
2, I guess.
What's the other one?
3, I guess, if you want to count a South Carolina Hall of Fame. But I went to Cooperstown. I've been to Cooperstown.
No, I was thinking like there's definitely another Hall of Fame that. Where is the South Carolina Hall of Fame?
I can't remember. I went when I had to go one time.
I feel like I've been to a bunch of unknown Hall of Fames.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
We're rolling along here, 6:24 on a Wednesday morning. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen, as we are live from the College Football Hall of Fame here at SEC Media Days. It is Arkansas up first this morning, and Sam Pittman. And Patrick, we got a whole lot of time to get into that Arkansas game over the next several weeks, and then obviously after the Georgia State game. But I will just real quick, I did a couple of interviews with Arkansas radio stations yesterday, and both programs, Arkansas will be coming off a game against Cincinnati. Obviously, South Carolina will have a game following the Arkansas game against Georgia. So that's going to be one of the bigger games for both programs early on the season because you run the risk for Arkansas. I don't know what could happen with Cincinnati. I think we saw that they were favored in one of the early lines that was out there. Certainly they don't want to be upset by Luke Fickell's bunch early on there and then have South Carolina. The Gamecocks on the flip side of things will have Georgia the following week, and as much excitement and passion is being displayed already, you really don't want to start 1-2 and 0-2 in the conference. And that's a game that's going to feature KJ Jefferson against Spencer Rattler. And we're also going to learn a lot about the South Carolina offensive line in that game and if they're able to move the Arkansas defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, there might not be a lot of names that we know in Arkansas. Two of the guys they're bringing, Bubberpool and Jalen Catalan, will be NFL guys next year, but that's a linebacker/safety hybrid and then another safety. The thing about Arkansas is they're just always big and strong, and I think Sam Pittman embodies that. And coming from as an offensive line guy, they're always going to have good offensive line play. They have one of the best offensive lines in the country, so certainly we'll learn about South Carolina's defensive line, but they're going to be physical up front on the defensive line as well. So there was a lot of talk about the offensive line yesterday. Javon Gwynn seems confident that they'll be better. Certainly seems like they have taken to heart the criticism from last year, and they know that they weren't good enough as a group, but overall, the protection wasn't good enough as a group. Beamer sort of defending the offensive line there, but you're not going to waste any time getting that challenge. You'll play Arkansas week 2, and then you'll get probably the best or second best defensive line in the country when Georgia comes, or when you play Georgia. Jalen Carter will be a top 10 pick. I don't know what else they're going to reload with, but Nolan Smith stuck around. And so there's going to be several first-round caliber players on the Georgia defensive line, but Arkansas will be a good little primer for that.
It's going to tell us a lot. I mean, you go back to last year, and again, this was kind of brought up. South Carolina on the road last year obviously didn't play well against Georgia, but that's understandable. Didn't play well against Texas A&M. That's kind of understandable. But, you know, Tennessee, South Carolina was down 35-0 there in that game and was down 28-0 pretty much out of the gate. You got to play better than you did there. And then obviously the Missouri game as well, not one that South Carolina fans would prefer to remember. Throw in East Carolina as well. The 5 road games that South Carolina made last year, Patrick, don't leave you, I think, a lot of good feelings about going on the road. Obviously, the bowl game, a neutral site game, and was a big step for the Gamecocks. But, that is one step that South Carolina has to take this year, is to be better coming out of the gate in these road games. East Carolina hit them for a long touchdown pass, obviously, on the opening play. And if not for the pick six there at the end of the half, South Carolina would not have scored in that one. Again, we know how ugly Tennessee was. We know how ugly Arkansas was. The Missouri game was better. They had some turnovers in that game and couldn't stop the run of Missouri. So it is a concern. And again, a lot of time to talk in between now and September 10th. We've still got to get past what is going to be a tricky opener that South Carolina should win and will be expected to win, but you still got to get past Georgia State. But again, Patrick is South Carolina here yesterday and talking with Arkansas media members, and then Arkansas going today here shortly. That September 10th game you circle as a huge game early on the season, because if you win that one, Travis or DC pointing out, talking about 6 wins for the season, you win the Arkansas game, it puts you a little bit ahead of the curve of what people I think might be expecting.
Definitely does. I mean, were the Arkansas people, when they had you on, were they having you on to basically be like, hey, Arkansas fans, I know you've already written this one in as a win, but maybe slow your roll a little bit. You can't just discount South Carolina. Was that sort of like the gist? I assume they expect to win that game.
There's an intrigue. It's more of an intrigue of what South Carolina really is. They're kind of, because, it is one of them said, from the outside looking in, it's a team that was up. They actually compare South Carolina a lot to what Sam Pittman was able to do there, obviously being so far down, and South Carolina having the 4-8 and 2-8 seasons, and then Shane Beamer kind of coming in and having some energy similar to Sam Pittman, kind of rallying the troops and being able to do some really good things in his first year. I think it was Pittman who was something like 5-5 or 5-6 in his first year there in Arkansas, and broke the long losing streak that they had in the SEC. And Arkansas fans kind of see that, I think, a little bit. Again, they're looking at it from a distance. Let's be completely honest about that, from a significant distance. But I think they're looking at it and going, "Oh, okay, wait a minute. This is kind of similar to the path that we've been going on." And that's a pretty good way for us to. They were 3-7 his first year, but they broke that long losing streak that they had in the SEC, and then obviously bounced back 9-4 last year. And again, just looking at it from the outside yesterday, the questions were, hey, you guys, Shane Beamer really took a massive step, similar to what Sam was able to do in year one. Now you got this quarterback, Spencer Rattler, that they're a little bit more familiar with, obviously, because Oklahoma's not too far away. And I think they realize that for them, it's going to be a big challenge. But for me, I look at it more on the lines of scrimmage. We'll learn exactly how much Jimmy Lindsey and Greg Atkins have been able to do. Luke Day as well with the strength and conditioning program.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a lot on the defensive line to just control possession a little bit, because if Arkansas gets a run game going early, because they're going to have a great offensive line and they're going to have a huge quarterback who's able to fall forward and just move piles, you got to keep them off the field, especially when they're at home. If they just get a little bit of momentum, and you alluded to that talking about the road games last year, it just felt like things got going down a bad path early and they just spiraled, and there's nothing you can do. Tennessee had a little bit of momentum. You get to the 1 yard line, your defensive end throws an interception, and next thing you know, that game is over, completely over. And they just continue to spiral. Texas A&M, brutal how that thing spiraled out of control. So there was just a lot of that last year, and you gotta stay on top of it early.
Coming back, we will get you some audio on one of the key players for South Carolina this year, Spencer Rattler. He was talked about yesterday, and there was a great interview with Heath Klein speaking with quarterback guru David Cutcliffe. We'll let you listen to a little bit of audio of that when we return. You're listening to The Early Game live from SEC Media Days here in Atlanta. It's Bill Gunner, Patrick Brett, and Jen Jensen. It's The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Every pool has its own personality. Did you know that? Each pool is a little bit different. The way they're built, where they're situated, every pool just slightly different than the other one, which is why you need to use Corley Pool Solutions instead of using the pool store, because the pool store representative, he's probably only, or he or she is probably only familiar with one pool, and they might give you some bad advice. You might pick the wrong chemicals. But with Corley Pool Solutions, Tracy Corley, with 20 years of experience, is coming to your pool each and every week. It's not some team that he's sent out there to take care of your pool. It's the owner of the company himself, the guy with all the knowledge, coming and analyzing your pool and making sure there are no issues. So if you want to still be using that pool this summer, jumping in, using it for nice barbecues on the weekends, it's time to get in touch with Corley Pool Solutions, 803-445-8109. Did you know it's actually more affordable to use Corley Pool Solutions than it is for you to try to maintain the pool on your own? The reason being is because they do weekly cleanings, no contracts, and flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. That's right, transparent pricing, flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. They know exactly what they're doing for you. You know exactly what's being done for you. It's easy to figure out. And again, the best part, the owner of the company is visiting your house himself to make sure the job is done correctly. So you know you're getting superior work ethic, superior quality when Corley Pool Solutions shows up to your house to maintain that pool. 803-445-8109. Again, 803-445-8109. Don't let that pool go to waste in your backyard. Use it. Take advantage of it this summer and do it by keeping it maintained by Corley Pool Solutions.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Looks like we have just one tie-up in gas.
Morning, Trey. Greg. LeVar. Anthony, good to see all y'all this morning. Everybody up and at 'em. Thrilled and ready to go. Ugh. Get my coffee. I figured out how to get here just early enough to get a Dr. Pepper just to get me through the first hour before I can get to Starbucks. Tell you what, one thing about being here, I did not pack correctly. I should have brought a lot more like pullovers and warm clothes. Come prepared for the colder weather that the extreme Arctic temperatures they keep these rooms on.
Yeah, because the coaches are in suits. Those jackets are heavy.
I mean, you may see me in the same pullover tomorrow just to stay warm in here because this is the only, like, I've got a long sleeve shirt on underneath this and this pullover. What? I missed this. Juan Soto last night flew commercial to the home run derby after the Nationals refused to charter his flight.
So Scott Boras said,
You guys are up early. Y'all start at 5? Or y'all 5 hours, 6. Well, yeah, video was good, Trey. We talked about that in the first part. They did a good job. I guess there was a behind the scenes video too. Just a reminder for those of you, go ahead, mark your calendars. All you live streamers that play golf. We have the golf tournament on August 26th.
All right, we're heading back in. I just sent you a list.
Okay, great. I'm going to get to that cut.
Okay, sir.
803-404-6100. You can be a part of the program. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrett, Jen Jensen. Want to remind you, coming up Friday, August 26th. Friday, August 26th. Mark your calendars. The 107.5 The Game golf tournament at Charwood Golf Club. Rock and Daniel Lucas will be having us back out. We're getting the details together. It'll be $100 per person. We'll have some team information coming up as well here next week, but it will be August 26th at Charwood Golf Club. So go ahead and mark your calendars accordingly. That'll be week 0 for college football. We'll have Vanderbilt. Maybe Clark Lee got a little confused and thought Hawaii was its own country yesterday, Patrick, and maybe that's what he meant, is that when Vanderbilt will be the best team, best program in the country, that'll be a weekend you can catch Vanderbilt in Hawaii. The big game that weekend will be Northwestern and Nebraska. You have several other games coming up that weekend, but August 26th at Charwood Golf Club. Friday, August the 26th. Expect to see a lot of you out there. Have fun, talk college football. We'll have some breakfast and some lunch, have prizes, a lot of things as the details continue to come together, but mark your calendars accordingly for Friday, August the 26th. Yesterday, David Cutcliffe sat down with Heath Klein right here where I'm sitting now, and part of the discussion turned to the production and just how Spencer Rattler is. And David Cutcliffe is a guy well known for developing quarterbacks. Here's what he had to say to Heath regarding Spencer Rattler and what he has seen so far.
I want to get your thoughts on Spencer Rattler as a guy who knows quarterbacks in just a second, but there's been a lot of talk that there's a school in the conference with a quarterback coming in who may have gotten as much as $2 million from a booster organization. I won't ask you to comment on that itself, but just as a coach, what would that have been like for you trying to coach a quarterback, knowing there are people out there that have invested that kind of money? You may not have asked them to do it, but you got people out there that have thrown that kind of coin down. They expect that guy to play. You already had to deal with boosters. You know what that's like.
Yep.
How would you even begin to try and solve that puzzle of how you effectively coach that guy?
Well, that's the and that's a good specific question about not whether right or wrong or anything else. How do you go about coaching them? First of all, you got to have confidence in your decision making, your way to run the program, that a booster's not running the program. They can contribute or do whatever they choose to do without, you being a part of that. But I'm a confident enough coach, and I would let the young man know this is awesome, but you're going to have to earn everything you're doing here. I'm not going to coach that guy any differently than I did Peyton or Eli or Daniel Jones or Heath Schuler or anybody that I've ever coached. T. Martin. If he's a great one, if he's worthy of that kind of money, he wants to be great, right?
Thank you.
The only way you're going to be great is have the work ethic, the practice focus, make practice like a game, meet the demands of what's expected of you by your teammates, let alone your coaches. That's the conversation. So and I would have that in recruiting, to be honest with you, before they ever put their name on the dotted line. I've never been a beggar in recruiting. I've always believed it's better. I have a favorite saying, which is say what you mean and mean what you say. And you always under-promise and over-deliver instead of vice versa. So that's how you ask me how I would deal with it as a coach. And if the guy went somewhere else, I've had boosters turn against me before. Good, so be it. I sleep real well.
It's a key thing to be able to do. And for South Carolina, just quickly to get your thoughts on Spencer Radley. I don't know how much you've watched him.
I'm pretty familiar with him, and he's got a lot of ability. He's got a lot of toughness. You don't go into a program like Oklahoma and get some hard knocks and get back up off the ground and get some hard knocks and get back up off the ground. And so he's athletic enough. He is, and I don't know him, so I don't know what his mentality is as a quarterback. But if I'm one of the top 5 things I look for in a quarterback is mental toughness. And he certainly appears to have that. It's been unwavering. And I bet you, I don't know this, he feels like a guy that's been let out of prison. And a chance to play for that staff and for Coach Beamer. And I'm a Coach Beamer fan doubled, okay? You got a great man there that will be a great mentor for him.
You, in all your time coaching quarterbacks, I don't remember you having transfers very much at all. It was normally you found them, you developed them, they turned into big-time players for you. What is a challenge that comes with trying to get a guy up to speed and play at a high level so quickly?
Well, he's got to love his teammates, and that's the best way for the teammates to love him back. Got to remember, there's a locker room there, okay? And I don't think that we really understand that often the best 11 players aren't the 11 best. You follow what I'm saying? And so you need some cohesiveness with a transfer that he has to buy in. Don't come to me and say, well, they're not accepting me. Well, wait a minute. Whose job is to accept who? Maybe you need to focus on them, not them focus on you. And that's always a challenge with any transfer. I've had some transfers. And that's not as easy as people think. So if I were, and I haven't spoken to him, but if I were to give him advice, I would tell him this. The best thing that happened to you at South Carolina is the fact that you earned this, that 15 years later when y'all get together, that some of your teammates come up to you and say, hey, man, you were the best teammate I ever had. Well, you can't say anything better to a former athlete. And that's the fastest path to understanding as a quarterback. It's not about you. It's about them. I've always shared this with quarterbacks. You want to be a person that steps in a room and says, hey, there you are, not here I am. And I think our guys through the years have done a great job of that.
That was David Cutcliffe yesterday with Heath Klein. You hear a lot of good stuff there. Patrick, the one thing I take away quickly, and then we'll hit the break and come back and wrap up the hour, is just him talking about Spencer Rattler having to come in and be a good teammate and get the rest of the locker room to rally around him.
Yeah, and I think he's done that. I mean, if you just look on social media, which is not everything, but he was very supportive of the guys yesterday, talking about their outfits and how good they looked and how excited he was for them. I think he's going to do that, exactly that. He knows he's been in locker rooms enough. He knows how to do that.
We'll continue talking about this. Brad Crawford sitting down with us. He'll join us at the top of the next hour as he is, for some reason, up and at him early despite not having to be, but he will hop on with us in the next hour. We'll get you some more Shane Beamer audio, including that whole interview with Heath Klein yesterday, an exclusive one-on-one with 107.5 The Game. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrett, and Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
One thing I made sure to do before I left the house to come here to Atlanta was to make sure it was clean. Did that with an easy, little, simple phone call. I called Zero Res. They are the MVPs of the cleaning game, and they will take care of you right now. During the month of July, you can get 15% off all cleaning services. That's right. All you got to do is call them 803-262-4020 and use my name, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Again, 15% off all cleaning services, whether it's your carpet, your area rugs, your upholstery, your tile, your air ducts, everything. 15% off. And I tell you what, right now, Zero Res understands that every dollar counts these days, so you can save big with their summer sale. You can call them 803-262-4020. You can get in touch with them via the internet. You can book with ease, IrsColumbia.com. However you want to do it, now is the time to keep that home nice and clean, and you can do it by getting a great summer sale deal of 15% off when you use my name, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game. So give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, or again, you can book over the internet, IrsColumbia.com. Make sure you use my name, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game, and you get that 15% off. Zerorez, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
1075 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Just one tie up to let you know about Gaston Blackville Road at Sharps Hill Road. Any forecast for today? Going to be hot and humid, looking for a heat index of 102. And looking for a heat index tomorrow of about 106. Could see isolated afternoon and evening storms today and tomorrow and Friday. Right now, though, 75. 1075 The Game.
The Halftime Show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game.
Sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples is your one-stop travel prep destination. Right now, when you purchase any travel service like passport photos, you can get 20% off your purchase. In-store only. Offer ends 7/31. See staples.com/travel for details and exclusions. Get travel ready at Staples, the working and learning store.
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax your local radio station simply to play the music you love. Text LOCAL to 52886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
I'm here with Jacob Crowder, known to our listeners as the mortgage guru. We're all hearing about mortgage rates right now. Jacob, what's the market telling you?
Now more than ever, it's important to know your mortgage banker. When working in a volatile market, it's important to be well informed and have the ability to move quickly. Working with a local bank gives you access to bank products and superior service. Here at First Palmetto, we have your best interest at heart and have the ability to get the job done. Call me today, 803-719-1005, or email me at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com.
That's good stuff, Jacob. Tell me more.
We are still seeing a competitive purchase market. Having a strong requalification from a local bank goes a long way with a tight market. With housing supplies still being minimal, we're doing a lot of construction loans. If you're looking to buy land and build on it, or if you're looking to build on land you already have, we're a great resource for construction loans. Call us today to discuss how we can help you. 803-719-1005 or email at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com.
In times like these, you need an expert. Call the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, 803-719-1005.
First Palmetto Bank is an equal housing lender, a member of FDIC, and all loans are subject to approval. My NMLS number is 198432.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips for Integrated Media. As summer heats up, there is good news. We're that much closer to football season, and now is the best time to call Integrated Media and get your home theater system ready for all of this season's action. From amazing Sony and Samsung HD TVs to full home surround sound, Sonos wireless speakers, and Wi-Fi that works everywhere, you need to call 803-948-8327 and let Integrated Media come to your home and tell you what they can do to make your home theater dreams a reality. Again, get ahead of the football rush, plus get ready to watch all of your favorite movies, TV shows, concerts, and listen to music better than ever before. 803-948-8327. One room, whole house, and yes, outdoor systems too. Plus, professional grade Wi-Fi that works everywhere. Call my good friends at Integrated Media, 803-948-8327. See them on Facebook and Instagram. Integrated Media. Watch, listen, control.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Lead Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game.
Back here at SEC Media Days, you can hop on the live stream now and see that we are joined by Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports. And Patrick, you heard that. You heard a lot of yesterday, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit. Brad and I were kind of talking last night, a little bit off air, but just the general vibe of South Carolina yesterday, Patrick, very positive with Shane Beamer really being able to sell his message.
Well, yeah, and just watching from television and seeing on Twitter, it looks like a lot of people, and it was one of the first things that Shane mentioned. When he came last year, people thought a two-win team, nobody's talking about South Carolina. There's nobody up for individual accolades. It's complete 180 this year. Jordan Rodgers is talking about how they're the second best team in the East. Tim Tebow is talking about how great the program is and how he wishes he could play for someone like Shane Beamer, and Spencer Rattler's up for every award there is, and there's just a lot more buzz. It's a totally different vibe around the program right now.
Brad, yeah, you covered South Carolina. You're familiar. We talked about it last night. Year 1 to year 2. How did you take Shane yesterday here at the podium? Have I got yours turned up? There we go. Early now, try that.
Yeah, one of the first questions I had for Shane yesterday in a little one-on-one I had with him was, what differs from last year and Hoover being his first SEC media days as a head coach compared to now? And he just said, he feels like he knows the atmosphere more. He knows the team. He grew up watching this stuff and listened to it on radio, he said, and now being a part of it, coming off a winning season, winning a bowl game against North Carolina. Obviously, he told me yesterday that 7-6 is not the expectation. It's not why he came to South Carolina to, try to win the SEC East with the Gamecocks. So I think this year Shane's confident, has a pretty good team. Did mention that, depth could be an issue in some spots, but yesterday I think Shane Beamer won today, and that's a lot to say when, Nick Saban's up there.
Well, the one thing about Shane that he's going to continue to always bring is energy and positivity, which if you start losing and you get that ultra positive coach, it's really annoying. But yesterday, South Carolina's coming off the 7-6 season. Was there anything in particular, at least in this room, we'll get into your own interview with him, but that you heard that really kind of raised your eyebrows, or you thought, okay, that's a little bit different than what I was expecting?
I think Shane is super confident in Spencer Rattler. We heard him this spring mention Rattler several times, mention the camaraderie he already has with teammates despite, being there 6 months or so. But he talked about the depth in the quarterback room, something that they didn't have last season. And then in talking to DeCarrion Joyner, it sounds like he's still getting snaps at that position at practice, which surprised me a little bit. So, I was looking forward to seeing what Shane had to say, especially on the main podium, because that's what's televised. That's what everybody across the South hears. And I think he preached a pretty good message about South Carolina football.
He clearly does like Spencer a lot. And I think it would have been maybe telling if he didn't recruit Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma, because someone that's been there in the building with him firsthand, there's sort of a narrative around Spencer Rattler that he was like a quitter and he got beat out and this and that he was a bad teammate. Do you think Shane did a good job dispelling that? I think the narrative around him nationally has changed.
I asked him yesterday too, speaking of that narrative, how much pressure exactly is on Spencer's shoulders to really flourish in this offense and, turn a, I guess, mediocre offense last season that struggled on third down at times into one of the SEC East's, most high-powered attacks. And he said he didn't really see the pressure on Spencer. He entered Norman as a 5-star, consensus, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, followed up Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield, 2 Heisman winners. And then Shane mentioned that, Spencer started 0-2 with the Sooners and then didn't lose another start. So, he's already won at a big-time Power 5 level for a national title contender. And now at South Carolina, Shane figures the pressure's off and he can play well this season.
We'll get more from Brad Crawford coming up at the top of the hour there. He's been here now for 2 days. He's like me. He was contemplating maybe this being the final day. That's what I was saying to open the show. The media nerds now, we start to go, cool. This has been fun, but a whole nother day, and then tomorrow, oh boy,
my batteries are getting a little low, man.
Yeah, we're all slowly too much partying over here, but it's a good time. It's a great way to kick off the start of college football season. ACC Media Day getting going this morning over in Charlotte as well, so I need to keep an eye on that. But we'll continue to get you coverage from here. Sam Pittman leading the brigade today, 9:05 at the podium back behind us. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll get some more thoughts from Brad Crawford in the next hour and get you that Shane Beamer one-on-one interview with Heath Klein. It's Bill Gunner, it's Patrick Perez, Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
2022 to SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
A Cumulus media station.
Since 1964, Gateway Supply has been the Midland's leader in plumbing and HVAC supply, and now, of course, they are statewide with more than 15 locations all across South Carolina. Their showrooms are filled with bath and kitchen fixtures from classic to modern styles. Now, tap and touchless faucets. You can even talk to your kitchen sink. See them at Hamrick Street near the Fairgrounds in Williams-Brice, or Highway 6 and Whiteford Way in Lexington. Design services, expert advice for customers and contractors alike. Visit them online at gatewaysupply.net.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company.
She's still trying to wake up.
I see. Have you ever asked her if she wants a cracker?
Oh, you want a cracker? Your ears perk up a little bit.
There you go. I think that was an old joke with a parrot or something.
She's a little excited though. She's been going on 5:30 WALKs every day, but mom's off today, so she's not getting one.
Oh. Please, come on, guys, let me go.
Yeah, I think she's gotten a little bit used to it, so she's standing around waiting.
Mm-hmm. Holding out on her, poor thing. Radio Row's looking pretty quiet.
Yeah, I wonder how many people already cleaned up their booths.
Yeah, they're not committed to staying the full days.
Yeah. Is that one person I see in the background? All the way in the back, yep.
Oh, yeah. Went back to the left.
See, like over at her orange shirt. Poor Alyssa Lang wearing an orange suit yesterday. Did you see all that?
I did. I tried to at least comment and say, but it was a really pretty orange. It wasn't it wasn't that ugly upstate orange.
I didn't see if she changed out of it, but it was constant harassment.
Yeah, boy, that was brutal. especially being a Carolina grad.
Yeah.
What is the deal with her ear? Oh, okay. The angle she was at.
They get flipped up all the time.
That's so funny. They are the best. I know she's glad having you there.
Yeah,
we're coming back. Is he on a coffee run or?
I mean, Brad's still there. I would hope not.
I know. Because we're like in the intro.
All right. I'll turn the thing back on. So
And Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
$7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrett, Jen Jensen, joined now by Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports as well, as he's been here covering it. And we're going to get you plenty more audio this morning here as we kind of roll through. We'll get you that one-on-one exclusive interview Shane Beamer did with Heath Klein yesterday here. They played it yesterday, I think, on Heath's show, but we'll let you listen if you hadn't had a chance to hear it. A lot of good stuff. It's about 14 minutes long, and we'll get to that this hour as well. But Patrick, day two, and do Brad and I look like people who are just trying to survive the next 2 days now, or do we look like there's a little bit of peppiness? Like, what are the odds you give us of being able to get through the next basically about 48 hours?
You look more alive than Radio Row does. I mean, we were just talking about that in the break. It looks like there's one person left. Is that all you got?
No, it's just and the station you see down there. I was on there with them yesterday. That's an ESPN station out of Arkansas, and that's what I was just cutting up with them. So they're operating on Central Time. So they've been here since about 6. They've been here since about 6:15, 6:30. So 5:15, 5:30, and they're getting going now. Similar to how I have to operate when we're in Birmingham, where I'm operating.
You're in the state of Georgia, just a little bit over an hour from the defending national champions, and there's nobody barking in the lobby or anything like that.
No
this morning?
fans. No,
I can't believe that.
I don't see any fans.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's look, and Brad, I've talked about this. How many of these have you attended? I think you were telling
This is
me.
like 6 or 7 for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've asked a couple people about this. We had Peter Burns on. I think my days are running together, but earlier this week, and it is an event that initially they were going to more of a fan-oriented type thing. That was why it was moved here. In I think 2018 is when we were here,
right?
And they had everything set up in the park across the street, and there were more fans here. Now, obviously, maybe we're going to work our way back to that. The expectations will be in Nashville next year. I don't know if I've heard that officially announced anywhere here. Everybody just keeps telling
Might
us.
be breaking news, but that's what I've heard. Our CBS office is stationed in Nashville, so,
Okay.
and that's what I've been told. So
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's actually been announced, but maybe it was announced a couple of years ago. But what can you do? Patrick and I have talked about this to make it a more fan-friendly night. I'm going to give both of you an idea that's not mine. Peter Burns came up with it, but I'll give both of you his idea. But you got suggestions how to make this a bit more fan-friendly, where you can really get the fan bases involved?
you could certainly make it more accessible. More autograph opportunities for players. A lot of these guys, they're not signing autographs on game day. They're way too busy pregame with having to be at the stadium 3 hours before kickoff, and they don't have time to interact with fans. I think there's several opportunities here in Atlanta and especially Birmingham inside the lobby of that hotel where you could get kind of a pit/gallery of fans and maybe make coaches and a few players interact with them. The Bama guy, I've seen him at every media day that I've been to, and he brings some liveliness down there. So, I'm a little surprised that inside the College Football Hall of Fame here, there's not, like you mentioned, a dozen or so Georgia fans.
Yeah.
They are defending national champions after all.
Yeah, it's thing now. Patrick, Brad, Peter Burns, and this was an interesting suggestion that I kind of like. Suggested moving the event more towards the evening, the night, where you do this, because as they point out, what do you how many people are sitting at home right now, or between 9 a.m. when Sam Pittman will go on and about 3, I think, or 2, I don't know who. I think maybe Mark Stoops is the last. I think maybe at 2:25 today, but you do it more in the evening, and also that allows people who might be working to come on by and hang out. A little bit different thing. Would you guys be up for, instead of a media days, have SEC media nights?
Yeah, they're doing that for everything, even things that people aren't allowed to attend. They're moving the combine, the NFL combine at night, and nobody's even allowed to go to that. So if you can move that, then yeah, if something that you're trying to make fan friendly, of course. Because I mean, how many people across the Southeast are taking their valuable weeks off, their time off, to go on vacation to SEC media days? It's just not really happening. So if you're not in Atlanta, or just taking a day off to drive up a couple hours to see your team or your coach, there's not people just out there for 4 days if they're not working.
And then this being a 4-day event, it just runs a little long.
It does.
I'd be interested in knowing SEC Network's ratings Monday versus Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah. Well, we'll continue talking about that, but let's get back.
Is that for TV, by the way? Like, do they stretch it out just so the SEC Network can have more content, or they just not want to cram it all in there?
Pat, Brad, they could get a 5th coach in. We'll be done.
Easily.
Where's my little calendar here?
225 is the last coach, I think.
Yeah, you could go one more. I think people like Brad who have to write. See, I'm done at 9 a.m. I'd go back up and take a nap. Brad's got to keep working.
3-hour workday, man.
Yeah,
I would love that.
It's a little bit different for me, so I don't know. Let's talk SEC for a second. So far, you've had a chance to hear Nick Saban yesterday. Obviously, Lane Kiffin. And I'm forgetting now who went on Monday. Eli. Who was Brian Kelly? Brian Kelly was who I was looking for. You had a chance to now kind of hear a little bit of the West. Jimbo will go tomorrow, but you've had a chance to hear a little bit of the West. Let's start with the West, because Brian Kelly comes in. I think Brian Kelly is one of the top 5 or 6 coaches in the country. You look at what he did at Notre Dame, and LSU's they're not as talented right now as Alabama, but also they've recruited really well. What's your thoughts on LSU this coming season?
Talking to Brian Kelly in the CBS room on Monday, we had an interesting recruiting question for him, and just ask him, in his infancy so far with the Tigers, how has recruiting changed from Notre Dame to LSU? And he said that he was essentially the closer for Notre Dame, and he would meet these, high-profile 4 and 5 stars at the end of their recruitment and sort of seal the deal. At LSU, he's talking to these guys early. He's saying that while I have a great recruiting staff, I still have to be the lead. So it sounds like he has to work a little bit harder as an SEC recruiter now at a program that should be able to compete, at a top 10 level. But I think this season, the obviously main question is who's going to start at quarterback. Miles Brennan's a veteran guy, but, LSU had issues running the football last year. They had issues at both tackle spots. And if you can't run the football and you can't block for your quarterback, then you probably need a guy who's not stationary back there. And Jaden Daniels, the Arizona State transfer, is probably the guy. So right now, and by the way, Garrett Nussmeier is probably the most talented quarterback on the roster, but he's kind of third team. So it's very interesting to me to see, who's going to play quarterback and who's going to spread it around to those wideouts.
That game Sunday night of the Labor Day weekend, LSU and Florida State. It'll be in Orlando this year, I think, and then next year I think it goes to New Orleans. New Orleans next year. I think I've got that right. Orlando this year, New Orleans next year. But you got Mike Norvell with Florida State, who really needs to take a step forward this year. They need to really move forward under him. And then you got Brian Kelly, who, again, I'll say they don't lack talent. They've got some guys where a 10-win season, I don't think, would shock you. I don't know if it's the expectation, but your thoughts on that particular game on Labor Day weekend?
Yeah,
it is in New Orleans, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. I had it backwards. New Orleans this year, Orlando next.
Saint Stadium, yeah. The spread for that game right now is 3.5. I think it opened at 7.5 LSU. So obviously there's some folks betting on that believe in the Seminoles. So Jordan Travis back at quarterback. Norvell, I think, has 14 starters back off a team that nearly made a bowl game last year. Won 4 out of 5 sort of to end the year. Like you mentioned, Florida State, they have to win this season. Mike Norvell's on the obvious hot seat. Florida State's been one of those teams that's been mentioned in realignment and expansion talks. If they do lead the ACC, I don't think Norvell's going to be the guy for them. But getting back to this year, it's a must-win game for LSU. If this is really a 9-3 team that a lot of us think it can be, has to beat Florida State.
There's quarterback battles all over the conference right now. We've talked about this a bunch. I mean, Ole Miss, you've got, and a lot of it is the transfer versus the mainstay. So you got like the Luke Altmaier, Jackson Dart deal. You got Max Johnson showing up to A&M, and you got the multiple transfers at Auburn, Calzada, and Finley. Is one of these? Do you have one that's the most interesting, or a few that you have absolutely no idea how they're going to go?
Yeah, I think obviously Rattler is going to be the best transfer quarterback in the conference, but as far as those, I spoke to Zach Calzada's quarterback coach, who actually lives near me in Raleigh, North Carolina, last week. He's saying that not only is he going to start over TJ Finley at Auburn, but Zach has something to prove. He sort of injured his shoulder last season. I think it was a November game might have been against Auburn, actually. And, he's a quarterback that beat Bama last season, threw for 285 and 3 touchdowns, and really nuked an Alabama secondary that wasn't really all that elite as Bama secondaries usually are. So Zach Calzada's a guy, I think, that if he could get 7-5 season out of Auburn, that might continue Harson's tenure. But like you mentioned, man, that this is a real good year for quarterbacks, not only transfers, but the SEC has probably 4 or 5 of the top 20 quarterbacks in college football, and should be a fun year.
We'll hear from Brian Harsin tomorrow morning, but you and I were kind of talking during the break. Where does Auburn go right now? Brian Kelly's in the league. Jimbo Fisher's who knows what's going on there. He's been NIL, and then certainly he is a winner in that recruiting class he just brought in. Obviously, Saban. Lane Kiffin is doing big things. Brian Harsin does not fit what's happening in the SEC, which is tough. So they tried to oust him this offseason. Where do you see this going with Auburn and Brian Harsin right now?
I mean, if he plays well this season and, win 8 games, they're going to have to retain him. He has a sizable buyout. As we know, several SEC schools right now are still paying buyouts. And, Brian Harsin's a guy, like you said, he didn't really know the SEC's recruiting ground, didn't have to recruit at an elite level at Boise State to win. So a very big year for him. And as we mentioned before we got on air, he's probably on the SEC's hottest seat. And at all, you go in this season and lose to Bama again in the Iron Bowl, you're probably out.
real quick, and then we'll take a break and move to the East. But just final thoughts on the West, how you kind of are seeing this shake out this year with Bama, with A&M. I don't know where you got LSU in there and even Ole Miss.
I'm one of the few that has Arkansas finishing second in the
Okay.
SEC West. You know, I'm submitting my preseason SEC ballot here in a few hours, and I've got Arkansas number 3 behind Bama and Georgia. I just think with, Jefferson back as second or third best quarterback in the SEC, Drew Sanders, 5-star linebacker transfer from Bama, and they've got a defensive coordinator who I think is extremely underrated. Gamecocks are going to see that in week 2, that, Barry Odom's a strong defensive coordinator. That 3-3-5 confuses a lot of good quarterbacks, and, Bama plays at Arkansas this season, and if there's a regular season game on Bama's, the Tide can lose. That one's it.
One more segment with Brad Crawford, and then we'll turn him loose to get work for the day done. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrett, and Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Blackville Road at Sharps Hill Road in Gaston, an accident that we have a report on. Also, Beverly Drive at Meadow Lane in Lexington County. Looks like a little bit of a tie-up there. Risden Way at Two Notch Road, also an accident there. Looking for hot and humid conditions, those will continue. A heat index of 102 today, 106 tomorrow, 103 on Friday, and those chances for showers and thunderstorms always possible in the afternoons and evenings. Sun's coming out. It is 75 right now at 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up
on the next Extra Point.
Hey guys, Pearson Fowler here from the Extra Point, and coming up on the Wednesday edition, probably the biggest Extra Point of the entire summer. Plenty of reaction and audio from Shane Beamer, Javon Gwynn, DeCarrion Joyner, Zach Pickens from yesterday, reacting to their media availability, and all 4 teams with media availability on Wednesday today. Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, all South Carolina opponents. So we'll dig into all those schools, have as much audio and coverage as we can for you from Atlanta, all coming up on the Extra Point, 9 o'clock.
The Extra Point
With Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central.
9 a.m. to noon.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by NHTSA. If you drive over the speed limit by a little or a lot, you can hurt someone. Today's birthday shout-out goes to 84-year-old Tony Oliva, the Cuban-born 8-time All-Star, the 3-time American League batting champion and 2-time World Series winner as both a player and a coach, will finally be enshrined in Cooperstown this Sunday. Congratulations, Tony. Have a great day. I'm Boomer Esiason.
This radio commercial was made to convince you to stop speeding. We can't use siren sound effects on the radio, so we'll use other equally jarring sound effects to get your attention. Like telling you that whether you drive a little over the speed limit or a lot, you can crash just the same. You could hurt yourself or worse, others.
I'm at the scene of the collision.
And the damage you cause will be beyond repair. See, we didn't have to use crash or siren sounds after all. Speeding catches up with you.
Paid for by NHTSA. MVP's bonus days are here for pros. For 12 days, pros save big and MVPs get even more. Because MVP's Pro Rewards members can earn bonus points to redeem for rewards. Earn points on every dollar spent up to $1,000 and get up to 3 times more points when you shop select brands and products. Find MVP's bonus day savings from July 11th to the 22nd in-store and online. Exclusively at Lowe's. Exclusively for pros. MVP's Pro Rewards program subject to program terms and conditions. Details at Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty terms. Subject to change.
Sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's MVP's bonus days are here. Pro members can earn bonus points to redeem for rewards. And for 12 days, you can earn points on every dollar spent up to $1,000. MVP's Pro Rewards program subject to program terms and conditions. Details at Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty terms. Subject to change.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been
skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FREE for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code FREE. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FREE for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code FREE for a $5 bonus.
You haven't tasted real Carolina barbecue until you've experienced Little Pig's Barbecue. Full-service dine-in buffet with barbecue ribs, brisket, chicken, rice, hash, tomato pie, macaroni and cheese, and many more of your favorites. Eat in or take out. Little Pig's Barbecue on Alpine Road is open from 11 to 2 on Wednesday, 11 to 8 Thursday through Saturday, and 11 to 3 on Sunday. Little Pig's Barbecue on Alpine Road. Little Pig's family looks forward to seeing you soon.
If you have Irs tax problems, it can seem like a vicious cycle that never ends, year after year. Just getting the mail can be stressful and overwhelming. Don't let it ruin your life. There is a solution. Since 2008, the attorneys at Ecton Law Firm have devoted their practice to the resolution of tax problems for individuals and businesses across the Carolinas. We have the knowledge and experience and are dedicated to the success of each client. We are local attorneys with local solutions. At the free initial consultation, we'll listen to your concerns, your goals, and explain the systematic process we use in solving your tax problem. From that initial meeting, you'll see there is a solution. We're dedicated to improving your life by solving your tax problems. If we sound like someone you want to work with, take that first step. Give us a call at 803-771-9800 or go to ectonlawfirm.com. You'll be glad you did.
Titus and Tate, a podcast from two obsessed basketball lovers.
Twitter's a place for losers. I think the same thing about podcasting. I think you and I are losers. We podcast. We know we're losers. Most podcasts, you and I are doing it right now, are done over Zoom. I'm not even wearing pants right now. It's like you're not wearing pants. We're back to where we started, where you're just like kind of sitting in your mom's
we
basement.
used to wear pants when we did podcasts. We've definitely gone downhill.
More than just analysts and stats. Titus and Tate. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Time now for the old-timey meat market clip of the day. September 4th, 1993. On opening day, Coach Sparky Wood's Gamecocks challenged the Georgia Bulldogs between the hedges. With the Gamecocks trailing 21-17 in the final seconds, future Hall of Famer Steve Tannehill handed the ball to future Hall of Famer Brandon Bennett. Here's the great Bob Fulton with his sidekick, Tommy Suggs.
1.5-yard line, double tight end for Carolina. And here's the get to Bennett. It's over, but he's not in the end zone. He's right at the goal line with 21 seconds remaining. 21 seconds remaining. And the players are slow getting up. 15 seconds, 14. They're trying to hurry the players up. 10 seconds, 9 seconds. They line up in the power eye again. 5 seconds. Give the ball to Bennett. He dives. Bennett dives over the top. Touchdown. Carolina will draw 15-yard penalty. Who keeps celebrating? I know there's only 2 seconds remaining in the ball game.
Final score, Gamecocks 23, Dogs 21. And that's our old-timey clip of the day, sponsored by Old Timey Meat Market with 3 locations, Lexington, South.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
7:21 here in Atlanta. SEC Media Days, joined right now by Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports. As we kind of sit here and hang out, we've talked a little South Carolina. We've talked a little bit of SEC West, and now we've kind of moved over to the SEC East, Brad. And at least you confident in number one. Georgia.
Correct.
Georgia is going to be that's the easy part. After that, I like Kentucky. I just Mark Stoops. He'll go here later today. The foundation he's built. You and I kind of talked about it off air. They've got a recipe. Beat up on 3 non-conference teams that nobody's ever heard of. Hopefully beat Louisville and then secure 3-4 conference victories. And all of a sudden you've won 7, 8, maybe even 9 games when everything's said and done.
The 2 seesaw games always on UK schedule are Tennessee and South Carolina. You win those 2, you go from 7-5 to 9-3, which is huge. And I think for the first time, and I'm going to ask Mark about this today, is Kentucky faces a little bit of pressure, in my opinion. They've won 10 games twice in the last 4 years, never been done before in program history prior to Stoops' tenure. Now they have a quarterback who a lot of draft nicks have top 5 next year in Will Levis. Personally, I haven't seen that during his career. Will Levis is here today in Atlanta, and I'm sure he'll be asked about the 2023 draft. But if you have a top 5 caliber quarterback and 4 starters back up front and a pretty good defense, with Kentucky's schedule, it's pretty favorable by SEC standards. Kentucky can certainly get to 10 wins again, and I'm with you. I've got UK second in the East too.
Patrick, you like that, Patrick? You lean in UK second right now?
Yeah, because at a certain point it stops becoming a great year for Kentucky. You're like, wow, this is wild. Kentucky's really good this year. Like, no, they're just a good team. Like, he's actually just built a sustainable, strong, tough, good football team. And also, over the last however 5+ years, that's become a legitimate home field advantage. He's actually built that fan base up, because I've been to night games at Kroger Field, and it's actually a fairly intimidating place to play at this point, and guys want to go play at Kentucky. The facilities look good now, and I don't know what they used to be like, but it looks like an SEC program at this point, and they're putting guys in the draft year in and year out, so they're just an actually strong program. They're not just having one-off great years or winning gimmicky games, and they're just beating up on an easy schedule. No, they're a good football team.
They've gotten a lot better at the line of scrimmage too, on offense and defense under Stoops. They win a lot of games ugly. You look at some of the final scores of Kentucky games; they're strange. And they just they run over teams. Chris Rodriguez is a guy who he had a DUI earlier this spring, and he's one of the SEC's top rushers returning. His availability is kind of iffy, so Mark will probably be asked about that today too. But they've got some guys in that backfield, and like I said, Will Levis. So that offense should be one of the better offenses in the division.
Go past them, and now it becomes jumbled. Tennessee, South Carolina, Missouri. I throw Florida in there. How do you see the next group? To me, and Kentucky is closer to that group than they are to Georgia. Correct. Let's be clear about that. Kentucky with Levis and everything, I'll have them too. But you look at the next 4 teams right now. How do you assess those 4?
Yeah, I think for that number 3 spot is between the Gamecocks and Volunteers. I'd actually have Florida finishing 6-6. Billy Napier has said on the record and pretty much off that depth is a major issue right now for Florida. We know we have Anthony Richardson at quarterback returning, and then Ventrell Miller at linebacker. He's here today too. But outside of those 2 guys, they don't have a ton of star power guys in Gainesville, which is saying a lot. Billy Napier's a great recruiter. He'll probably get that program back, but not in 2022. So Tennessee has arguably the best quarterback in the SEC behind Bryce Young and Hendon Hooker. He's a guy Gamecock fans are super familiar with after that ugly first half last year in Knoxville, where they ran off 4 consecutive touchdown drives. But that's a huge game for South Carolina. It's a winnable game, and I think the winner of that game in November between Tennessee and South Carolina finishes 3 in the East and can get to maybe 8 wins.
Is Billy Napier, is there going to be pressure for him today to sort of inspire Gator fans? Because they've been down. We've talked about what we've seen on Twitter and what's been written and said about his rocky recruiting start. Is there going to be pressure for him to send some sort of strong message, or what are you expecting from him today? Because he's sort of Mr. Serious.
Yeah, if you're expecting a Shane Beamer type rah-rah inside the College Football Hall of Fame here from Billy Napier, you're not going to get it.
More coffee before he speaks.
Right.
Got it. Yeah.
Right. This spring, Florida was not recruiting too well. He was losing some battles for guys in his own state. And then over the last couple of weeks, the Gators have got some high-profile commits. I think fans feel a little bit better. But they open up against Utah, a team that I have as the 4 seed in the college football playoff. That's a huge game for Florida. And then at the end of September, they go to Tennessee. So we're talking about, 2 games in September that can really dictate how Napier finishes in year 1.
You go down from that. Eli Drinkowitz is a guy that in your write-up of South Carolina season schedule, you said if he loses to South Carolina late in the season, his seat gets hot. And I think you would probably have his seat as the second hottest behind Harsin, although Drinkowitz is fairly safe. It's going to take a disaster, but how do you assess Missouri?
Yeah, he just signed a top 15 class. He did land Luther Burden, 5-star receiver, top guy in the country at that position behind Travis Hunter. I think Eli, he could certainly go 5-7 this year. I've got Missouri as one of 2 teams in the SEC not getting the bowl season. You can probably guess the other one. So,
but they're going to be the best program in the country at some point, is what we now know.
That's what Clark Lee said. He was trying to build a SpaceX rocket on that stage yesterday. It seemed like, instead of talking about football. But yeah, Missouri's a team that outside of Luther, we don't know who's going to play quarterback for Missouri right now. Brady Cook or possibly the guy, Jack Abraham, transfer from Mississippi State, going into his 7th college football season, by the way, Jack Abraham. Missouri's a team that has a lot of 50-50 games. So big year for him.
He's on the Sherrod Green plan, Patrick. Him and Sherrod Green enrolled several years ago together. Tennessee. Patrick and I have talked about it. Patrick, where do you stand on? We've talked a lot about Florida. We've talked about other programs. Kentucky, we spend a lot of time talking about. But, Patrick, where do you stand on Tennessee? Because that's really a program that we haven't talked a lot about.
I think they took so many people by surprise with their play style and just that fast-paced offense last year. I just always feel like when something like that happens and you win with something that maybe it wasn't gimmicky, because Hendon Hooker's real good. Cedric Tillman's a good player. They're good. They were actually pretty good last year. I just feel like defense always catches up, and I always think about Oregon coming out hot under Chip Kelly in the first couple or the beginning of the season, or even just the beginning of games, and then it's sort of slowing down and settling back down. I think expectations are going to be super high for them, and it's going to be hard to get to that next level. If Tennessee fans are expecting 9 wins or a clear number 2 finish in the SEC, I don't think that's going to happen. But I still think Josh Heupel's a good coach, and they'll be a pretty good team.
I mean, Tennessee has a stretch of 4 games, I think, in like 6 weeks this year where they play defending ACC champion Pitt. They host Florida. They go to LSU and then host Bama. I mean, that's a huge month of football for Josh Heupel. I think he surpassed expectations in year 1 in Knoxville, like you said, with that sexy offense he had, and a guy who can really orchestrate, how to move the ball, and Hendon Hooker. But Tennessee's a team that I actually have beating Georgia on the road this season for Georgia's only regular season loss. So,
but you got to lose it to South Carolina too.
Correct.
I mean, you got kind of an up and down season.
I've got an 8-4 Tennessee season. Yeah. It's a very tough schedule, but they're going to beat a team they should not this year.
I'm not sold. The Pitt game, typically, I'd probably say, that was going to be tough. I think they rout Pitt. I think week 2, if I'm thinking correctly.
Correct.
No Kenny Pickett, Jordan Addison transferring.
And Keaton Slovis, though.
They do have Keaton Slovis. Yes, Keaton Slovis, and we'll see him. Pitt and West Virginia open on Thursday night. I guess that's the big Thursday night football game to start the backyard brawl. We'll see Slovis versus JT Daniels, 2 Southern Cal quarterbacks now playing in the backyard brawl. But and that brings us to South Carolina, and you've kind of talked about it, but how do you see them fitting in? You've got your projection out there. How do you see them fitting into what everything we just talked about with Kentucky, Missouri, and Tennessee?
Yeah, I've got Gamecocks 7-5 finishing this season, but I do think South Carolina's probably closer to 6-6 than they are 8-4. There's several seesaw games. That game at Kentucky, I'm projecting a loss, but if they win that game, all of a sudden the season dynamic changes. Same as week 2 at Arkansas.
Yeah,
that's a huge game for South Carolina. Obviously, Shane Beamer does not want to start 0-2 in SEC play, but even if the Gamecocks do, I think they can rebound and still go 4-4 or 5-3 in the SEC and get to a better bowl game. That should be the goal for Shane Beamer in year 2. He didn't really mention expectations or really determine what those were, but I think if Gamecocks can get to a Gator Bowl or an Outback Bowl, that's certainly a win this year.
Brad, we appreciate you hanging out with us this morning. I know you got to go get some work done. We look forward to having you on throughout the football season.
Thank you, buddy.
Take care. Brad Crawford joining us. Has done it from time to time. Does a great job. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at bcrawford247 is the way to do that. We'll come back. Patrick will recap some of what Brad said, and we'll get into that Beamer audio with Heath yesterday. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
And need to tell you about the great folks at Prisma Health Orthopedics. If you have joint pain that's been bothering you on a day-to-day basis, getting up a little slow or not able to go out there and play 18 holes or swim or whatever it is you want to do, you need to call Prisma Health Orthopedics. They are the official team physicians for the South Carolina Gamecocks and the Clemson Tigers, so you know that you will get the same care provided to the best athletes in the state. They are also the most comprehensive orthopedic group in the region. They have 65 specialists over 6 locations, so they can serve you wherever and whenever you might need help. So if hip and knee pain is making your daily life difficult, you need to seek the best care and find out what they can do for you by getting out there and taking a free health assessment. Don't let that hip or knee pain hold you back. Prisma Health is the most trusted orthopedic practice in the region. They have a deep-rooted history that spans nearly a century, and they are leaders in innovative procedures and teaching the next generation of orthopedic physicians. They offer a full-service walk-in orthopedic urgent care clinic for all sports injuries, strains, sprains, fractures, as well as chronic joint pain. They know how difficult hip and knee pain can make your life, so find out how much they can do for you by taking that free health assessment. Prisma Health has built a foundation for patient-centered care and innovation that results in the best possible service for their patient, so you need to get out there. Again, take that free health assessment, and if you want to learn more, you can visit them on the web. It's prismahealth.org/orthopedics.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
We do have a report of an accident at Risdon Way at Two Notch Road, Charleston Highway.
Not as much. I actually was pretty tame last night. It was actually I'm just tired, but it was actually a lot more calm than a couple years ago. Let's go with that. So thankfully, I'm just worn out this morning, but definitely a little bit better. Definitely a little bit better. Yeah.
I mean, I think Spencer Hall, every day on Saturday. Because I too
they had a bunch of it was a good meal. It was a good meal, but it wasn't like going to. There's a seafood place next door, connected to the Omni that I kind of want to go eat at.
Is that called the Aquarium? Just kidding.
Oh, it would be delicious. Just that's the seafood buffet, Jen.
Exactly.
But McCormick and Schmick's, I believe.
Oh yeah.
I might go over there today. I don't know, because we've got at 5 o'clock. We've got an affiliates happy hour or something with the Braves, 680 The Fans. I guess since we run the Braves on 1320, I guess they were invited to from 5 to 7, and then like the final little event is at Stats tonight, a bar for all the media members. So they do a good job of taking care of us. But like last night, the food was like hamburger sliders, chicken sliders, and pulled pork barbecue sliders. They were pretty good. They had some crab cakes, some chicken tenders. It was good. I mean, it was kind of fried, kind of like a bar food type thing, but it was good.
Go to McCormick and Schmick's. You probably have to, like mortgage one of your kids.
Yeah. Well, I'll go for an appetizer or something. But the alcohol is just so freaking expensive. Like trying to order a drink. I mean, that's one. I really have not drank that much this week. Last night I was drinking beer. I had a sweet water and 2 Coronas, and that's all I had last night.
Wow.
But they do have, I think I mentioned it yesterday, I've been working out here too. They got a decent little workout facility, and they got that sauna in there that I figured out. It's kind of like a manual sauna where you go in, it's got the little hot box with the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
You turn it on, and then you pour the water. Gotta let it heat up, and then you pour the water to create the steam.
You have to build one of those in your place.
It's about $6,000. I've looked.
Ha! Of course you have. All right, we're coming back. Yep.
Big thank you to Brad Crawford for joining us there for a little while this morning here. As Patrick, it's picking up a little bit here. You can see a little bit. Okay, that shot actually is pretty dead back down behind us still here on Radio Row, but it's picking up just a tad as Sam Pittman and the Hogs will be showing up here in about the next hour to start their round. Sam Pittman will be on the main stage. If you're watching on the SEC Network, he'll be on the main stage coming up at 9:05 this morning. Then will be followed later this morning by Kirby Smart. And Patrick, what do you take away from what we just listened to Brad Crawford talking about as it pertains to South Carolina and the rest of the SEC East?
That it's just wide open, and if Tennessee can beat Georgia, then the whole conference, the whole division is wide open. But basically, after Georgia, which has been the case for the last several years, it's pretty wide open below them. You know, everyone can make a case. South Carolina can make a case that they had the best first year. They had the best transfer class of anyone in the East, and maybe they have the best quarterback in the East, so they should be the ones that should be considered number 2. Kentucky has the case of, we've been the best of all of you guys for the last couple of years. We deserve that credit. We might have the best quarterback in the class, in the whole division. And Tennessee can make the case of, we've got the best offense. We're going to be high-powered. We're going to score on anybody. And maybe we have the best quarterback in the division, so we think we're the second best. You know, I think it's going to go a long way. The quarterback position is the most important position in football, and who is the most consistent and the best between Hendon Hooker, Will Levis, and Spencer Rattler will probably go a long way in determining who wins these close games, and that ultimately decide who comes in second place in the SEC East.
One thing that'll be interesting today is South Carolina plays all 4 of these teams that they're set to see. Obviously, Arkansas in the West. But all 4 quarterbacks will be here today. KJ Jefferson, Stetson Bennett, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis. And Patrick, I'm one of those, I think you're kind of with me. We talked about this, seeing guys in person, you know, just the physical size of guys. I am interested to see the physical size of all 4 of these guys, just kind of standing next to them, seeing the size of the shoulders, seeing the arms. Will Levis is a guy that is listed at about 6'3", 235 now. That's what he came out of the Manning camp. And the reason he's kind of shot up the draft charts is because of the big arm, but also because he is a well-built quarterback that people are expecting big things from.
Yeah, that's why people are trying to compare him to Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's 6'5", almost 250, so he's not quite that. But he is a big dude. And I think I would be interested to see him stand next to Anthony Richardson, because Anthony Richardson gets like almost Cam Newton-like comparisons. He's 6'4". He's around that same 230 to 240 range, probably closer to 240. I would be curious to see those 2 guys stand next to each other and see if there's a noticeable difference in their sizes. But these are 2 big, physical, athletic, strong-armed guys that can single-handedly win football games, and probably will at points this season single-handedly win their team's football games. Anthony Richardson, in order to win games for Florida, is probably going to have to do a little bit more just because he's got less help. But I'll be interested to see both of them. I would be interested to see both of them in person. Did you ever see Cam in person, like up close?
Cam?
Yeah.
No, I was not doing this when SEC Media Day with Cam Newton. But no, yeah, it is interesting to see those guys. Well, just a note on that, by the way, or just a thought that I had yesterday. Because again, just sometimes looking at the physical stature of guys. The one that I was most excited to see was a couple years ago was Tua, and just see physically what he looked like, you know, in person as opposed to put the shoulder pads on. Javon Gwynn yesterday, offensive lineman, did not look like a fat offensive line. Like, he looked to be in great shape. Now, I don't know how that's going to translate. I'm not trying to say, oh, look out, Javon Gwynn's going to blow guys off the ball. Zach Pickens, again, did not look like a fat defensive lineman when I saw him. You do look at those linemen and go, okay, is there belly there? Is it a guy who looks slow? Javon Gwynn, quite honestly, is a big dude. I'm not trying to say he's not. He looked, though, undersized for what I would have expected an offensive lineman to be. I will say that, just talking about looking at some of the physical size of guys. And today, there will be a few players. Again, the quarterbacks will be something I'll kind of just be interested to see how they physically look as they're walking through the room. A lot of media nerds, a lot of bigger media nerds also that you can kind of compare them against.
Bryce Young walked right by you yesterday.
He's a skinny guy.
He's small.
Yes. I mean, I don't know how much that means in the NFL. I feel like you can be that guy in college, especially with the offensive line Alabama has. Yeah, Bryce Young is a thin guy. I mean, I don't know where.
And he's barely 6 feet tall. If he is 6 feet tall, I think he's listed at like 5'11" or 6 foot. So he's not a big dude. That's why his stock is, even if he's the best quarterback in the country, people are going to nitpick him during draft season.
It'll be interesting to hear your take on it next year during the draft combine as we talk about Bryce Young and how you're analyzing it because of what you just talked about, his size. We'll continue on with this conversation. Again, I'm going to get you that audio. We're going to play all of that. It's about 14 minutes of Heath Klein with Shane Beamer yesterday, so we'll get to that. Get a little bit more audio this morning. May have another guest or two drop by. It is starting to slowly fill up here. You're right, Patrick. I don't see the Georgia fans down there. Apparently, one national championship, and they're good for another 30 years or so, 40 years or so.
They're all animated every single year, desperate for that one national championship, but now they got it. They don't care anymore. They don't need to get excited.
I'll walk downstairs. It's about time to put my usual coffee run across the street to its test. So we'll do that, and we'll get you a little bit more audio. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Patrick Brett, and Jen Jensen. We're live from the College Football Hall of Fame here. It is day 3 of SEC Media Day, and we're still trying to survive. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I just feel weird about the fact that it's such a dead period between.
Right. Like, what are we supposed to do?
Right.
Morning. Morning. Let's see. I'm over here trying to fight the Starbucks app to figure out.
Struggle is real for you.
The struggle is, yeah, like I'm trying to find my balance on my little card. Does it keeps telling me? I know that I thought there was $7 on there. Yeah, I got 6. I'm confused.
Let me save this.
I do want somebody to ask Kirby about Carolina's tight ends. It would be pretty fun. Georgia does probably have the most talented tight end room I've ever seen now. To be fair. But that guy asking every coach about Georgia's tight ends is unreal.
Right. We have to figure out how to use Apple Pay.
It's easy.
It looks like it. I'm sure I'll figure it out within minutes.
Son of a biscuit.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet. It is 107.5. Shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. 2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta. Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash. Davis Tire.
Home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
You guys are up.
Final segment of the 7 o'clock hour. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrett, Jen Jensen, as we cruise on into hour number 3 of the Wednesday episode of the early game. I want to remind you, coming up August 26th, that is a Friday. Go ahead and mark your calendars. It'll be the 107.5 The Game golf tournament out at Charwood Golf Club. Want you to come out and hang out with us, talk football that day, enjoy a wonderful round of golf. We'll have some breakfast, we'll have some lunch. We'll get you all the details on getting signed up next week, but go ahead and mark those calendars. Again, that is August 26th. That'll be a Friday. It's week 0, and Patrick, I got to admit, talking to Brad Crawford, being here a little bit, talking about those schedules that we just talked about, even a Northwestern Nebraska game from Ireland, talking about West Virginia and Pittsburgh, starting to get the juices flowing a little bit here for college football season and what we hope to see, what we expect. And right now we're at the halfway point here of Media Day. We've got 4 coaches today, 3 tomorrow. So we've officially hit the halfway point. What do you take away right now from SEC Media Day as we start the second half here?
That I think my takeaway would be that it's been a honestly very newsworthy offseason with realignment, with us talking about SEC schedule changes and things like that, and all these big picture sort of items. I think SEC Media Days has sort of refocused us into this season and talking about football and getting ready for actual games to be played, because we are in the talking season right now but we are in the talking season about sort of the future and things that are out of the coach's control and out of the team's control, and things that don't have as much to do with what's going to happen on the field on Saturdays in the coming months, and more about what college football is going to look like in 5, 10, 20 years down the road. So I actually I love the talk about realignment. I think it's fun to daydream about that sort of stuff and what the SEC could look like and who's going to go where. It's fun to talk about. It's good to kill 3 hours with on a weekday morning. But this has sort of recentered our attention to what we really care about the most, and that's playing actual football games.
We are getting toward the actual playing of football games. Coming up in the next hour, we'll get you to, starting in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll get you the audio from Shane Beamer meeting with Heath Klein yesterday. If you haven't heard that, it's the exclusive one-on-one we had here on 107.5 The Game, not the podium stuff. So we'll let you listen to Heath and Shane from yesterday, as obviously a lot taking place, Patrick, yesterday. And Shane, again, the guy that we spent most of the morning talking about. And one of the questions that has been brought up, why didn't he bring Spencer Rattler to SEC Media Day? And he talked a little bit about that because all three guys that he brought were seniors. So he was naturally asked the question yesterday about bringing seniors to SEC Media Day. Jen, if we've got that audio, we'll play a little bit here. Here's what Shane had to say as it pertains to bringing just seniors to SEC Media Day in the future.
It kind of a combination of things. I don't want to put myself in a corner and say it's always going to be seniors, but the three guys that we have here today to carry on, Javon and Zach, epitomize everything that we want this program to be about. Competitive, tough, durable, dependable, great young men, great leaders. All are seniors. Two have already graduated from Carolina. Zach's going to graduate in December. So they're what we want this program to be about. And it had nothing to do with not wanting to bring Spencer or keep him out of the limelight. It was really, Spencer's been in the limelight enough. And I talked to Spencer about it. I, reached out to him to make sure he understood, hey, I'm not taking you, and here's why. And he was great about it. He'll be in the limelight enough. He wants the attention on these guys, and deservedly so. And I just couldn't. We've got some great representatives of our program back in Columbia, but the three that I have here today are as good as anybody we have on our team to represent us today and what this program's about.
So that leaves you a little bit of information on Spencer Rattler and Shane Beamer. Patrick, I think it was the right decision. I think I'm fine with who they did. It was interesting yesterday. He said that he would bring Spencer next year as a senior. That's not what you want, right? I mean, that would be great. I'm really torn on this. I'm really torn on this because you'd love to have Spencer Rattler back. You'd love to have that great year. You'd love to have both of them happen.
You would love to have both of them happen. When Beamer said, "Oh, Spencer will be back with a wink next year when he's a senior," it didn't really elicit a laugh, but it was as close as you're going to get from the E-News people. But yeah, I mean, he didn't need to. I could see both ways of bringing or not bringing Spencer. Obviously, people would be interested in hearing what he has to say, and I don't think we got anything really from Pickens, Gwynn, or Joyner other than, you're all good kids. You're all going to graduate. You've been through the thick and thin with this program, and you're deservingly getting your moment in the spotlight. Gwynn and Pickens didn't really give you much. I think the only newsworthy thing you got from the players, I think, was to carry on saying, look, I expect to pretty much be 50-50 quarterback wide receiver, which we've talked about, and we were not expecting him to play much quarterback this year because you don't want to take Spencer Rattler off the field, but was interested that De'Aaron Joyner thinks and expects to play lots of quarterbacks. So if Spencer was here, we'd have far more newsworthy items to talk about, or we'd probably be playing more Spencer Rattler audio. I don't know if we're playing any Pickens or Gwynn audio, but I wouldn't think so. Because there wasn't much to be said, but those guys deserve the credit and the attention.
Another man of many words spoke yesterday. Mike Leach spoke, and Jen and I listened to this audio last night. And Patrick, you're not a tie guy, and neither is Mike Leach. This is Mike Leach on neckties yesterday during an interview with SiriusXM.
Hold that thought.
Nope, hold that thought. I'll go give it just a second. Mike Leach. That's almost similar to Mike Leach's opening statement yesterday. Mike Leach was on the podium and it was entertaining as always. Now, what I'm going to let you listen to is this is from Sirius XM. This wasn't from the podium, but Mike Leach yesterday was asked about neckties. Here was his response to having to wear a necktie.
It's utterly pointless. I mean, it's completely pointless. I'll tell you what I'm going to start doing with these ties. I mean, it's not really big enough to be a bib. It's just skinny. Okay, what's annoying about it? This knot squeezing your neck, ingrown hairs on it after you shave, because typically tie things you shave. What I am going to start doing is, and I'll probably go to like, what do you call it? Salvation Army.
Yeah.
We can get some ties, and then I'm just going to flat out just wipe my mouth with it in front of everybody.
So if you it serves a purpose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like eat a donut.
There you go.
Pizza, a little oil hill. Oh yeah. And I'm going to do that and make sure people see that to a point where hopefully they get rid of these things. I mean, because that is madness.
You with him?
The trend has begun too. Ties are out.
All right, Jen, your thoughts? Mike Leach in a tie or men in a tie? There's a difference, I feel like.
I mean, I think they look sharp. I haven't had to wear one. I think women have to wear other attire that is probably equally uncomfortable. So, suck it up. But I don't know. I think they're sharp, but I'm cool with people not wearing them too. I'd rather they not use it as a napkin if you're, just do away with it.
I mean, that would be the thing though with Mike Leach, right? Just using it as a napkin. Like there's nobody that would be more accustomed to using it as a napkin than Mike Leach. We'll continue with that, and we'll get you the Shane Beamer, Heath Klein interview as well from yesterday. It's the early game, 107.5 The Game.
SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game. WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia.
A Cumulus media station.
Whatever your current t-shirt budget is, double it and trust Palmetto's Shirt Company to deliver your shirts. T-shirts build identity. Identity builds better teams, and better teams build better businesses.
In 3,
Palmetto Shirt Company's
2,
20-plus years
1.
of experience. We help you build a team identity with our designs, our shirt selections, and keep it within your budget. We'll make it easy for you. Just find us online at palmettoshirtco.com and build your team's identity today. Palmetto Shirt Company, South Carolina's brand.
Mid Carolina Marine and Yamaha outboards have been the Midland.
Oh, I think absolutely we can pull you
years.
through.
Are you ready to upgrade or trade in your boat this year? Mid Carolina is paying top dollar for used.
Could be fun.
We'll buy your used boat even if you don't buy a boat from us. Pontoons, center consoles, bow riders, and more. Mid Carolina Marine and Yamaha outboards, 718 Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia, or visit midcarolinamarine.com. That's midcarolinamarine.com.
In today's digitally driven world, the internet has become more than just a convenience or a luxury. Among other things, it keeps family members connected with loved ones, workers connected with their jobs, and students connected with their instructors and lessons. That's why the U.S. government created the Affordable Connectivity Program, also known as the ACP. This program provides eligible low-income families with discounts of up to $30 a month to help pay for their internet service. And here at FTC, we're proud to support this important program. FTC urges all households to take advantage of this helpful program.
Coming up, I'm going to order this. I want to come back. Patrick, if you're good with it, I'm going to spend like the first, we'll play basically the Heath Klein interview. I'll set it up and we'll play it in this segment. That good with y'all? $25.75. And I'm going to disappear because I'm going to get this coffee.
How long is it?
It's, I think, 14 minutes.
Yeah, 17. So.
Okay. All right.
We make a little bit.
All right.
Love Chevrolet, your trusted family-owned dealership since 1961. Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads. SEC Media Days. The SEC is still the key. Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash. Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire. On your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
You guys are up.
Oh, it's the Wednesday morning edition of the early game. Coming up in just a minute, we're going to get you the one-on-one exclusive interview that our station and Keith Ryan did with Shane Beamer yesterday. So we'll let you listen to that. If you have not been able to hear that just yet, that'll come up. It's about 17 minutes long, so prepare yourself accordingly. During that break, I'll run across the street, get a coffee. That just figured out how to use the Starbucks app. But all that being said, Patrick, it is day 3. Arkansas due in here in about an hour. It'll be followed by Georgia, and then Florida and Kentucky will wrap up the day. And Shane Beamer yesterday stole the show with the viral video, the Soldier Boy turned my swag on, I believe. Am I getting that correctly?
You got that right.
I also, you two need to remind me of just moments away from like what's happening around here, different conversations that have broken out. I have a great fish story now as it pertains to Jay Phillips and a comment that was made to him by one of the local media personalities as it pertains to fish. I'll get to that. It was a very good one, and Papa Jay felt pretty old all of a sudden. So we'll get into that. I need to start writing down some of the conversations that take place during dinner so that people can know what I'm experiencing over here. It's been entertaining to say the least, but I'll get you a very good fish story coming up. Patrick, real quick before we get to Shane Beamer, what do you take away from what you've heard here or what you heard yesterday with Shane Beamer?
Just a lot of positivity. Everything you expect. Things are going in a great direction, and pressure-free sort of media days. Won't be a pressure-free season, but the way things are going, this is about as cushy as it's going to get for any coach coming to SEC Media Days.
So we've got that we will get to and talk more about Shane Beamer. We'll kind of start a preview of Arkansas here, who's up this morning. The Arkansas game's huge. Patrick, the more I talk with people around here, the more I realize Arkansas, Kentucky, obviously the 2 road games for South Carolina, the 2 opening road SEC games. So, but let's get you this audio. Shane Beamer yesterday met one-on-one. Obviously, you've heard a little bit of Shane Beamer if you watched the SEC Network last night. You saw all the stuff on the SEC Network and with Paul Feinbaum. But here's Shane Beamer, a sit-down one-on-one conversation with Heath Klein yesterday. Here's what he had to say. SEC game. So let's get you this audio. Shane Beamer yesterday.
He's getting basically wiped down going in. He puts his hat on backwards and sunglasses, and then there's like fireworks going off behind him and people dancing around. Again, it's one of the things that you do if you're a football coach in 2022. Even if it might not be your speed,
Right.
It's what you do in 2022 to try and recruit, and that's where we start here.
Coach, first of all, we got to start out with the video. Earlier today, you posted a video. It's a TikTok thing.
Yeah.
Some people know that. Some people perhaps a little bit less aware. Just take us through this and not just how you did this, but how you kind of are building a brand, kind of being a good sport about this stuff. Because I'm going to go out on a limb and say you didn't say, "Hey, Justin, I got me an idea here."
No, that's all Justin King. And like I've told Justin before, like he doesn't even have to ask me anymore. He just tells me, "Hey, we need you to do something," and I know it's going to be brilliant. So we talked about it this morning and went in there and did it. He recruited some of the players and just another way to try and connect and promote what we're doing as a program and that was a lot of fun to do. Credit our players, credit Justin for the idea he came up with. It's great. My phone's blowing up with text messages from recruits, which is really great, and certainly has people talking about South Carolina football today.
Year ago, you and I talked. You're going into your first media days. You were as comfortable as any first-year coach has been, it seemed like, in that environment. But, now it's another time around the sun. You got a year under your belt.
Yeah.
What's something you know today, maybe a couple things you know today that you wouldn't have known a year ago, just about your team, about yourself, about how you do this job, anything?
You're right. Being back here for a year or two, you realize you watch this on TV and you see the head coaches in the main room on SEC Network and all that, but you don't realize all the other stuff that takes place at this event. So I'm better prepared for this event. And then I think for me, it's real simple, just knowing this team and the team knowing me. And, everything that we did last year, Heath, was the first time. It was the first SEC Media Day. It was the first preseason training camp, first home game, first away game, first win, first loss. Now this year, we're not going through things for the first time. So, and then I know more about myself as, the people around me, the staff, coaching staff, and the people around our building have better relationships with them and knowing what makes them tick. And just, you're never prepared for this job. There's always going to be things every year that come up that you don't expect. But you do have a better handle this year in knowing what's coming.
Is there anything news-wise, health, guys getting in, anything noteworthy on that front that you've learned over the last few weeks?
No. I think we've had a really good summer in the weight room and proud of these guys, the way they're working. Knock on wood, we've stayed pretty good from a health standpoint here, throughout this summer. Still have some guys that are coming back off of surgeries from last season and or from the off season that we're trying to get healthy. But no, we're in a good shape right now and had a good summer and excited to get started here in a couple of weeks.
Are there any kids you hear maybe have made a jump? Sometimes you hear maybe a guy just, gained some great weight, had some really good workouts. Any names like that spring to mind?
No, not really. I think overall, and I'm not trying to give you like coach speak, but I think it's been really positive. And getting our freshmen here in June has been great. They've been here all summer and having a chance to work with them. And the NCAA allows you to do more on the football field with your players now than ever. So you're able to actually get out on the field this summer with a ball, with your players and watch them run around. So that's been great, just being able to learn more about our guys this year or this summer than we have been able to in the past. And overall, just excited about the group, excited about the freshmen, excited about the impact guys. Corey Rucker was not here during spring practice, so getting him here this summer has been good. Austin Stogner was not here during the summer. Nate Atkins, new additions to the team since spring practice. So just being able to get acclimated to those guys, but it's been good. I think the work ethic's really been strong and leadership has been good. And got a couple weeks left here in summer conditioning, and then we'll crank it up.
Last year, you knew there weren't going to be a lot of expectations publicly on your program. This year, with the additions you've made and whatnot, things may be a little different. As a coach, how do you feel about that kind of public expectation? Do you care? Do you want it to be as high as possible? How do you feel?
No, it's a great point, and something that I'll actually talk about today on the main stage is just last year at this time, no one was talking about us as a program. No one was talking about any of our individual players. We had Nick Muse and JJ Enagbari here last year, and I don't know if they created much buzz or excitement coming in here. It's a different story this year with us as a program, some of the individuals that we have on our team, and it's going to be really critical for us to handle that the right way and handle it in a mature way because there are some higher expectations for us. But let's also keep it in perspective and understand that there's high expectations for us. But if you look at these, the top 25 rankings and all that, there's a pretty good chance that 7 of our opponents will be picked higher than us or be picked in the top 25. So we know we have a lot of work to do. But to answer your question, I like it. I'd rather be somewhere where there are high expectations. That's the kind of place I want to coach, where you're expected to compete at the highest level and ultimately win championships. And I want that, for sure.
One of the things I've talked about is that, we're still learning about you as a coach and what your philosophies are and how you're going to do things. And, one of the things that is a choice you make is who you bring to media days.
Mm-hmm.
The easy choice, if you poll the media, is Spencer Rattler's
Sure.
here. Obviously, he's not. You go with 3 seniors. Is that a core belief of yours that you just want to bring seniors every year? Is it to reward a kid like to carry on for the loyalty, and that's part of why he's here? Just is that a philosophy thing, or is it still just kind of how it felt this year?
It's kind of a combination of things. I don't want to put myself in a corner and say it's always going to be seniors. But the 3 guys that we have here today to carry on, Javon and Zach, epitomize everything that we want this program to be about. Competitive, tough, durable, dependable, great young men, great leaders. All are seniors. 2 have already graduated from Carolina. Zach's going to graduate in December. So they're what we want this program to be about. And it had nothing to do with not wanting to bring Spencer or keep him out of the limelight. It was really, Spencer's been in the limelight enough. And I talked to Spencer about it. I, reached out to him to make sure he understood, hey, I'm not taking you, and here's why. And he was great about it. He'll be in the limelight enough. He wants the attention on these guys, and deservedly so. And I just couldn't. We've got some great representatives of our program back in Columbia, but the 3 that I have here today are as good as anybody we have on our team to represent us today and what this program's about.
One thing that's changed a lot from when we talked a year ago is we know so much more about name, image, and likeness, the impact it's having on everything. Just you talked about the recruiting, the way you're trying to sell, but that's part of the conversation now. Sure. In that too. Just what have you learned in the last year about that, and what do you do moving forward?
Yeah, it seems it was so new last year in so many ways, and here we are a year later, and it seems still so new in a lot of ways, because there's just so many things that are happening for the first time, because there aren't any real guardrails on where we are right now. And there's not much transparency and consistency. But, I know I'll say what I said last year from a name, image, and likeness standpoint. We always want to do what's best for our student athletes, and think it's great that they're able to capitalize on their name, image, and likeness. We're as well suited as any program in the state and in the country, really, because of what we have to offer at Carolina. I think we've got a lot of guys on our team that have utilized it the right way, the way that the law was intended when it was implemented. And like every coach in the SEC, we're continuing to try and learn and figure out what the parameters are, and continue to put our student athletes in the best position to be successful, but then also, to ultimately have a great experience while they're in college, on and off the field.
I'm not trying to steer you into any kind of controversy here, but just in a general sense, have you had a kid that maybe you feel like you got a good relationship with, the vibe is good, and suddenly he's like, hey, somebody's got 6 figures with my name on it, or heck, maybe 7 figures with my name on it. Have you had to deal with that yet?
Yes. I'd be lying to you if I didn't. It doesn't come up as much as maybe the general public would think. Now, I don't know what assistant coaches are getting asked and things like that, but I've certainly had players that have asked hey, I see that Spencer Rattler got a truck, will I be able to get a truck when I come to Carolina? Things like that come up, so I'm probably no different than any coach in the country that's dealt with those type of questions. And then I think there's one frustration that I have with name, image, and likeness right now is the lack of transparency and accountability with schools. Because if you're a football coach at school X, you could promise a recruit, not supposed to, but you technically could promise a recruit anything you wanted to say in regards to what they're going to get if you come to their school. And there's been schools, not in this conference, but there's a couple schools that I know that are notorious for just telling kids, here's what you're going to get, and I've had them in my office, and I bring up that particular school, and the whole family just kind of starts smiling and laughing and shaking their heads. And, that's the frustrating part of it, that you can say what you want, but there's just not a lot of transparency and accountability right now throughout the process.
Another thing we're learning about you is, how you staff, how you choose to put things together. You bring a couple of guys in for the full-fledged staff from the NFL, but guys you've got connection with, and then a really interesting hire with Freddie Kitchens too. Just take me through what those guys bring to the party.
Yeah, I'm really excited about them. We've certainly no disrespect to anybody that's no longer in the program, but I really feel like we've hit a home run with the new additions. Sterling Lucas is somebody that I recruited out of high school. Out of Orangeburg Wilkinson, and he went to NC State, but got to know Sterling in the recruiting process and have always followed his career. He's been fantastic. You worry about sometimes when you hire a guy from the NFL that's never recruited, can they do it? And he's been on fire from that standpoint. I mean, he really is passionate about recruiting and has developed great relationships with young men and their families in a short period of time. Excited about his knowledge that he's able to bring to Clayton and the rest of the defense from having been around the NFL and the Baltimore Ravens the most during his time in the NFL and what they did defensively. Jody Wright, somebody that I was with at Mississippi State. He was a graduate assistant when I was an assistant coach there. Great person, great recruiter, has been around Nick Saban and Alabama's program on a couple different occasions, couple different stints there. His knowledge of offensive football and recruiting ability in the South has really been something that I've been impressed with. And then being able to hire Freddie was just, you got a chance to hire a guy that has coached every position on offense in the NFL except offensive line, I believe, and has called plays, has been a head coach in the NFL. Freddie and I were both first-year assistant coaches at Mississippi State with Sylvester Croom back in 2004, and got very close with him then, and somebody that I've kept in touch with and followed and for his entire career. So to be able to add a guy like that to our staff, just to try and make everyone better, not just offense, but, offense, defense, special teams. And I said it when we hired Freddie, we weren't the only school that were interested in hiring him. I mean, he had some name programs that were trying to get him to join their staff, and thankful that he's with us.
I mean,
That Shane Beamer from yesterday with Heath Klein. We'll get you the rest of that interview when we come back. Not much left, but want you to certainly hear it. It was a one-on-one exclusive with Heath and Shane, and in case you'd missed it yesterday, we definitely want you to hear it today. So we'll get you that when we return. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
And taking a look at the traffic conditions out there this morning, Charleston Highway near Gardner's Terrace Road. We do have a report of an accident there. And I-77 northbound at Farrow Road, an accident reported as well. Humid and muggy for the next couple of days. Heat index could get as high as 100 today. Could be up to as high as 107 tomorrow. So hydration is the key. And of course, with all of this, we could see chances for some showers and storms in the afternoon and evening, really for the next several days, at least through the end of the week. Right now, though, it's going to be a little overcast, and it's 76 at 107.5 The Game.
The Halftime Show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Indeed. Attract, interview, and hire at Indeed.com/credit. After more than a century, the IOC last week finally restored the gold medals. Jim Thorpe won in the decathlon and pentathlon at the 1912 Olympics. They had been stripped when it was revealed he had been paid to play minor league baseball. Remember amateurism? There was actually such a thing at one time. I'm Boomer Esiason.
CBS Sports Radio.
Looking good, Mrs. Dubs. The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
And aeration. They need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
5X480. Dayton B100 V-Belt, one of the many parts Grainger carries. It's also the item that helped Rob carry the day. The job was on hold, deadline fast approaching, but a quick search on Grainger.com and Rob found his part. And with same-day pickup at his local branch, he and his crew got the job done, safely and on time. Get supplies and solutions for every industry with real-time product availability. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sponsored by Audible. This summer, fire up your imagination with Audible. Listen to comedies, thrillers, mysteries, and more. It's everything you want in audio entertainment, all in the Audible app. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game.
Continuing on here at SEC Media Day, we're going to get you the rest of that Shane Beamer interview with Heath Klein. And again, the reason we were doing it is for the sake of being that it's an exclusive interview and not what you heard on the podium and continued to watch yesterday at the SEC Network or last night is certainly why we're going to continue playing. So we'll get you the rest of that. David Waters with Gator. With the SEC with Gator Breakdown will potentially join us. He's getting registered and may swing by Florida. We'll hit the podium here later this morning or later this afternoon to talk about what they are doing. 803-404-6100 if you've got an opinion. Let's get the rest of that Shane Beamer interview with Heath Klein yesterday. Here is about the final 5 or 6 minutes of that.
Another thing we're learning about you is, how you staff, how you choose to put things together. You bring a couple of guys in for the full-fledged staff from the NFL, but guys you've got connection with, and then a really interesting hire with Freddie Kitchens too. Just take me through what those guys bring to the party.
Yeah, I'm really excited about them. We've certainly no disrespect to anybody that's no longer in the program, but I really feel like we've hit a home run with the new additions. Sterling Lucas is somebody that I recruited out of high school, out of Orangeburg-Wilkinson, and he went to NC State, but got to know Sterling in the recruiting process and have always followed his career. He's been fantastic. You worry about sometimes when you hire a guy from the NFL that's never recruited, can they do it? And he's been on fire from that standpoint. I mean, he really is passionate about recruiting and has developed great relationships with young men and their families in a short period of time. Excited about his knowledge that he's able to bring to Clayton and the rest of the defense from having been around the NFL and the Baltimore Ravens the most during his time in the NFL and what they did defensively. Jody Wright, somebody that I was with at Mississippi State. He was a graduate assistant when I was an assistant coach there. Great person, great recruiter, has been around Nick Saban and Alabama's program on a couple different occasions, couple different stints there. His knowledge of offensive football and then recruiting ability in the South has really been something that I've been impressed with. And then being able to hire Freddie was just, you got a chance to hire a guy that has coached every position on offense in the NFL except offensive line, I believe, and has called plays, has been a head coach in the NFL. Freddie and I were both first-year assistant coaches at Mississippi State with Sylvester Croom back in 2004, and got very close with him then, and somebody that I've kept in touch with and followed and for his entire career. So to be able to add a guy like that to our staff, just to try and make everyone better, not just offense, but offense, defense, special teams. And I said it when we hired Freddie, we weren't the only school that were interested in hiring him. I mean, he had some name programs that were trying to get him to join their staff, and thankful that he's with us.
I mean, in a given week, will he be looking at the scouting for offense? Will he trying to pick holes in the defense? Maybe can he do? I know he's not allowed to be on field coach, but can he do some on game day?
He'll do a little bit. He'll lean more towards the offense, and I want him big picture perspective because he has been a head coach. He has been an offensive coordinator. So I do think there's some things that he can bring to the table from a defensive standpoint, but more so offense. And there's no egos in that room. I'm excited about, Marcus Satterfield in year 2 and Justin Stepp and Greg Atkins and Montario Hardesty returning and adding Jody to that group. And then also adding Freddie to the group. And everybody's just trying to, put their egos aside and have the best offense for South Carolina football. So Freddie will lean a little bit more towards the offense for sure, but I want him involved in really in everything with our team. And he's a great resource for our players too. The fact that he's been in the NFL for so long and has been around some high profile players like, Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield and who else? Carson Palmer when he was out with the Cardinals, and Tony Romo with the Dallas Cowboys, and Jason Witten. So he's been around some of the best, and being able to have that experience to share with our players, I think will be great as well.
Last thing for you, you guys announced that you're going to take part in that kind of 5-part docuseries on ESPNU. Just I know Bo Mattingly's done a lot of that kind of stuff for other programs, including Arkansas and whatnot. How'd that come together, and what are you trying to get out of it?
Yeah, I think it's great. One, grateful that they chose us. It wasn't like we were out campaigning, to be this team. They reached out to us to see if we would have an interest in it. And I know the kind of work that they do. So to be able to get affiliated with them, I knew it would be a first class product. I think it's a great opportunity for us to showcase our program a little bit more behind the scenes and what we're about. And that's been good. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think it'd be great for our players and amp up the urgency at all times with cameras around. And they reached out, I guess it was in the springtime, and we sat down and visited everyone involved with the university and their group as well. Just kind of talk things through and put together, here's some storylines that I think are good that we'd like to, spotlight in our program, players, coaches, staff, you name it. And I think it'll be a great product. And it goes back also to what you said, Heath, about just making sure that, there are higher expectations, and we need to make sure that we handle things the right way as well. And not lose sight of what got us to the point that we're at right now, which is, coming off a season where we won 7 and won a bowl game and increased expectations in 2022. We know it's going to take a lot of work to take that next step, and we're confident in our abilities to do that.
That is Shane Beamer, the full interview there that you just heard. Again, that was his one-on-one sit-down with Heath Klein. A lot of information there that you can take away from it. Patrick, we'll get your take and your thoughts on that. We'll also catch up with David Waters of Gator Breakdown. And there is some breaking PGA Tour. Well, I guess it's not PGA Tour golf news, but there is some golf news that has broke in the last hour, and we will certainly get to that. So we only got about 30 minutes left of the program, but there is a lot that we need to get into. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. We do a commercial.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Purchasing a new vehicle, it can be stressful. I mean, you got to spend a lot of money. You got to figure out if the car fits your needs. You got to figure out if the color red is something that you need to be driving around in. Do you want a sunroof? Do you want a truck? Do you want a SUV? Well, I'm stressed out just talking about it. But you know what? The great folks at Love Chevrolet, they take all the stress out of the process. They make sure you're comfortable with what you're purchasing, and that's quite important these days. Actually, purchasing a car should be a lot of fun. You're going to get that new car smell. You're going to have a brand new toy around that you get to drive. The kids are going to be thrilled. It really should be a good experience. And at Love Chevrolet, it's always a phenomenal experience. That's why they've been in business for over 60 years, taking care of everyone here in the Midlands with the largest selection of Chevrolets, 14 acres, and the lowest price guarantee, the $1,000 low price guarantee. But all of that wouldn't mean anything if they didn't treat you the way you should be treated. But that's what they do. They make sure you're comfortable with your purchase. They answer your questions. They take you around the lot. They show you how different cars will help you. That's why Love Chevrolet has stood out for over 60 years and why they'll continue to stand out as the absolute best in the business. Go visit them. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You can visit them on the web and speak with a seasoned professional and purchase your car right over the internet. Go to lovechevy.com. Love Chevrolet. Get out there and find new roads.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Well, things picked up a little bit out on the highways this morning. Bush River Road at Outlet Point Boulevard. There is a tie-up there that is kind of messing with traffic just a little bit. Also, 277 outbound at Park Lane Road. You'll find an accident. I-77 northbound at Farrow Road. Also an accident, I-20 westbound after Longs Pond Road and Charleston Highway near Gardner's Terrace. You'll find an accident there, too. Hot and humid for the next couple of days. Looking for a high today of like 92. Could hit a heat index of about 100. 94 tomorrow. Heat index could get as high as 107. And, of course, those obligatory showers and thunderstorms that are possible in the afternoon and evening. Right now, though, it is a little overcast, 78 at 107.5 The Game.
And now, a no-frills ad sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Here it is. You can save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
See?
Soldier Boy,
Just an old-fashioned, straightforward ad. See if you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or Progressive.com.
Hey, Mike, what are you doing way up?
What was that, Jen?
That Soldier Boy has actually chimed in, and did like basically that his video is lit, whatever.
This video is lit. All right, so yeah, great. I'll play that during my workout. I'll be playing that during my workout today.
Mm-hmm. Pretty fun.
Patrick, are you pondering life during the breaks?
Just reading everything.
All right, we got David Waters here too, so we will try and get to that. I want to try and get to that Live Golf Tour thing as well.
The news, I mean, now it's a fit. Are you talking about Stenson?
Huh?
You talking about Henrik Stenson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was like announced on Monday. It's just now official because the European Tour.
Well, he's out as Ryder Cup captain. What y'all got planned for today? Y'all got a busy day here?
We got to get over the TV station side of it. We got to cover Georgia too. On the line. We got to get pretty boss.
Won't take you very long. Jay, you know David Waters with Gator Breakdown?
Yeah, if you want.
Voting authority for over 40 years. Demand for votes is
Yeah,
still
just stay right here. I see what you're doing. Oh, okay, that makes more sense to me.
vote of your dreams this year.
Yeah, I'm just moving it back and forth.
2023. Order slots.
Patrick, feel free to jump in on me at any point with a question for David here. We'll go to him right here.
Located at 718 Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. Or
And
visit
then we're
MonteMarie.com.
behind the eight ball a little bit, so you can just lead it.
When everyone else is fast asleep, you're the one on third shift, burning the midnight oil. When a part fails and everything comes to a grinding halt, regardless of what the clock on the wall says, you leap into action. Granger is with you and all the ones who get it done. With 24/7 customer support by phone or click to chat. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Okay, import footage.
Yeah, you use StreamYard, don't you? I probably ought to talk with you one night, just some of the things you know that I don't know. Just get a few tips on how you use it. I need to upgrade it. But yeah, I mean, you got Patrick, and of course, us too. It's just easy to communicate in this situation.
Candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job
Sorry,
description. $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.
yeah, and I've got a bunch of them here. I got that one right there. Oh, wait, what did I just? There we go. Is that right? All right. We didn't stay out late last night, but I'm still. You see people start to drag, and you're like, ah, it's too crazy.
We wanted to go to the thing, but we got here late.
Oh,
1075 The Game. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
You're up.
803-404-6100. If you hear something you want to weigh in, we'll try and get to some of your thoughts this morning. But right now, joined by David Waters, good buddy of ours, who's been on the program before with Gators Breakdown. The Florida Gators making their appearance here in Atlanta today, and it's been a wild like 3 months for you. You went from basically the fan, maybe not for you, but the fan base basically at the end of May was ready to fire Billy Napier, maybe mid-June, and he head coached a game. The poor guy just lost some recruits, and then he's turned it around, and they've gone on a run of recruits, and I think fans have settled down a little bit. So talk about the first 7.5 months now of the Billy Napier regime there in Gainesville.
Eventful. For Billy Napier, I think he's learning very quick. Florida Gator fans care a lot about recruiting. There's a lot that goes with that, but of course, it's the extreme side of the fan base that you heard that ridiculous kind of statements from. But he's and this kind of comes with every new head coaching hire. But you hear the culture change, and I'm sure you guys heard it last year with Shane Beamer coming in and everything that needed to change from Will Muschamp, and now we're hearing the same things. Everything that needed to change from Dan Mullen, the player experience, taking care of just simple things like parking by the stadium. They don't have to park blocks and blocks away and ride a bus to get to the stadium and go work out. Now they could park right there. I mean, sounds simple on the surface, right? It should have been done for years. Billy Napier comes in, does little things like that to get the players more involved, and I think that goes along with. Those guys need to care about each other first. They care about each other, care about the coaching staff. And when it gets to game time, you get those tough situations, you're going to rely on each other. So I think, just the whole player experience, building trust on both sides. He needs to trust the players. The players need to trust him. And that's kind of what he's done for the players so far. Went through spring practice. Anthony Richardson had a really good spring game. You hope that's just a peak of what he can do this season. He's going to be the guy. I know some people wanted to throw a quarterback controversy in that Florida with Jack Miller coming in from Ohio State, but it was, to me, was no competition going in the spring. It's definitely not one now. And Anthony Richardson's going to be the guy. Got to get the defensive side of the ball fixed, going from Todd Grantham and the awful defense the last 2 years, bringing in Patrick Toney, young DC, who's got all kind of accolades as being just kind of one of those young up-and-comers. So a lot of work to be done. But if Anthony Richardson lives up to that, where that top 10, top draft stuff we're hearing right now, Florida might be dangerous if they get that quarterback position figured out.
And are Florida fans sort of looking at this as, the one and done year for Anthony Richardson as a starter? And I mean, what's kind of surrounding him right now? You lost Kadarius Toney 2 years ago. Jacob Copeland, I know, is transferred to Maryland. I'm from Maryland,
Right.
so they're talking a lot about him. But what sort of weapons are we looking at right now for Florida?
That's the thing. They really had to hit the transfer portal for another wide receiver. And Ricky Pearsall transferred from Arizona State to Florida. And stat-wise, almost very similar to Jacob Copeland from last year. So Florida's pretty much replacing Jacob Copeland stat-wise with a guy who has very similar stats there. And Justin Shorter, who's probably going to be the number one receiver. If Ricky Pearsall – I'll erase that. I don't know if Florida's going to have a number one receiver. They're going to have a bunch of guys. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. It might be one guy, one game having 6-7 catches, and another guy the next game having 6-7 catches. I don't know if they have that go-to receiver, but I think they have a bunch of good receivers. I don't know if they have that Kadarius Toney type. I'm not sure they have that catch a screen 60 yards and go. They got a bunch of big-bodied receivers who may beat you up on the line of scrimmage a little bit, but they're going to have to identify a better playmaker at the wide receiver position.
And nobody's got a Kyle Pitts.
Nobody's got a Kyle Pitts for sure.
In your time covering Florida, and you've done it for several years now, and you're familiar with Florida programs of the past, now you see the one that Billy Napier is going to be working with. You compare it to what you see outside of Georgia. Where is this team talent-wise? Because there's a lot of South Carolina fans who go, yeah, we're better than them. 40-17 last year. We mauled them. Well, there was a lot of issues with that team. Talent-wise, what is Florida? Where do you put them in the SEC in 2022?
Well, I mean, if we just look probably at the East, I mean, if you go 24/7 has that popular team talent composite. When that comes out, Florida's still going to have the second most talented roster in the East. And that's just what it is as far as just recruiting goes and transfer portal and how that's worked for Florida. As far as pure talent goes, high school recruited talent, transfer portal, Florida will still be second right there. But as we saw last year, that doesn't always translate. Florida loses to Kentucky. Florida loses to South Carolina. Somehow beat Tennessee earlier in the season. We know, but at the beginning of the season, you were toe and toe with Alabama. The very next week, you blow the doors off of Tennessee, and then the wheels fall off. So you look at that scenario. Okay, you see the talent Florida can play with, and if they play good football, they can play with Alabama. They can beat Tennessee by 3 scores. But then also the other side of it, if their head's not in it, if they're not, we knew development was going to be an issue, and it showed up last year in Kentucky versus South Carolina versus LSU. But I think when it's all said and done, it's how fast Billy Napier can tap into that talent potential. And there's always a transition with the new coach, but some like Shane Beamer come in. He improved over what we saw over Will Muschamp. And if Billy Napier can do the same thing and improve under Dan Mullen's recruiting, we know it's not Georgia talent. That's part of the issue for Florida fans. We follow so far behind right there, but there is still a lot of talent. Not to go, play UCF in a bowl game.
I want to get to the beginning of the schedule. You mentioned Will Muschamp, and now I've got a question. Will Florida ever have a coach that doesn't get fired mid-season now? Because that's 3 in a row, right? Like Muschamp was let go mid-season. Yeah. I think he finished out. Jim McElwain was ushered out on a boat with a shark, I believe, mid-season. And then I think it was a shark. I don't know. But and then Dan Mullen doesn't make it to this. That's 3 straight, which I might be setting a record. Is this job to such a point now that the fan base, because I lead that question into Utah week 1, and Utah's a favorite right now, and Kentucky in week 3. You're 1-2, and that fan base may already be looking at the list of coaches going, somebody else is a better option.
That schedule is not doing him any favors for a first-year head coach for sure. Utah week 1, Kentucky week 2,
Kentucky week 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
Eastern Washington week 3, Tennessee week 4. I mean,
yeah.
In the first month of the season, we're going to know a lot about this Florida team. And some patience is going to be needed. If you thought Dan Mullen needed to be fired, well, there's a reason. Florida wasn't in good shape, and there's a lot to come and transition away from that. But at the same time, as I said, there's enough talent. There's an opportunity there for Billy Napier to also build some early season momentum. You get that win over Utah under the lights week 1. Okay, well, transition that to maybe you go beat Kentucky in week 2 and keep going from there. But Will, it is weird, man. I was the one who asked Dan Mullen the recruiting question that caught fire, and it's recruiting season or not recruiting season.
Yeah, that made everybody happy.
And it went crazy from there, and then the wheels kind of just fell off in Columbia that night, and that was kind of just the beginning of the end for Dan Mullen.
Speaking of recruiting, the kid might end up being the number one player in the 2023 class when it's all said and done. Cormani McLean has been long linked to Florida. Everyone thinks he's going to be a Gator. So he's taking some more visits a couple of days ago. He's going to take more visits. Where are Florida fans at with him? You expecting him to be a Gator?
Yeah, I know some predictions come in for Alabama recently, and I'm still leaning Florida from everything I can gather right there with Cormani McLean and Corey. Look, you didn't hire Corey Raymond from LSU to lose battles like that. You hired Corey Raymond to go get guys like Cormani McLean. So that is a big need to get for Florida. He would be by far the top player in the class for Florida. Florida needs to start winning in-state battles like that.
Dave, we appreciate you stopping by. I know you got a lot you've got to do. You've got to cover Georgia as well for your television station. But, of course, Gators Breakdown. If anybody wants to follow you this year, how do they go about doing that?
Follow me on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. You can follow Gators Breakdown on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. One more thing, some good news for South Carolina fans. Grayson Howard, linebacker out of Jacksonville, where I'm from. You guys are absolutely going to love the kid. I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years. Stud. You guys are going to love him. I hate he went to South Carolina, put it that way.
We'll get you back on in the month of August and talk a little bit about that, catch up more. I know you got a lot to do today. Appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks.
Take care. Dave Waters, make sure you check that out, Gators Breakdown. We'll come back and wrap up the Wednesday morning edition. I finally have some energy. It only took 2.5 hours. I'll just take over Jay Phillips' show from 12 to 3 today. It's not like he's got anything to do.
Right.
We'll continue on. You're listening to the early game, 107.5 The Game.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Oh, it's that time again for your AAA Heating and Air Weather Watch. Making sure that air conditioner is working properly is something you need to know. Now, bad news for you, I'm giving you the Atlanta weather because that's what's popping up on my phone. Today it's going to be 90 here in Atlanta, isolated thunderstorms. Probably in Columbia, it'll be similar. But what we do know is in Columbia in August and September, it's going to be triple digits. It always is and always will be. And your air conditioner better be working properly. If your air conditioner is not working, you're going to be an unhappy person. So call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Don't let a simple mistake, something going on that's very fixable, cause your air conditioner to go out. Get a technician out there and let them maintain your current heating and air unit and make sure everything's working properly. And if you're worried, you're thinking, man, I got to get a new heating and air unit. AAA Heating and Air works with you better than anybody else out there. They guarantee financing. Even if you've had problems in the past with your credit and you're thinking, I'm not going to be able to pay for all of this, I'm not going to be able to get financing, AAA Heating and Air guarantees financing because that's the kind of family Roy and Dana Finley are. They make sure their customers are taken care of. They're going to do everything they can to work with you. So they guarantee financing. They offer you a $1,500 rebate on your old unit. And then the best part, a 15-year transferable parts and labor warranty to make sure that heating and air unit continues working. That's all you can ask for. And AAA Heating and Air is there to make sure it's taken care of. So call them today, 803-677-1500. Get someone out there to maintain your heating and air unit today. Don't let it go bad. 803-677-1500. That's AAA Heating and Air.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Busy morning. No, he's got his own
Howard York.
No. He's do what, Patrick?
York was asking if that was Pup Howard that he was talking about.
Yeah, same guy. Yeah. It was Grayson Howard. Yep. Yeah, Dave's a good guy. He's a Gator through and through, but he gives honest opinions. We like having him on. He'll be back this year. We'll get him on in August when we get closer.
Have you noticed just how active Pup Howard is on promoting Carolina? Like he is really retweet stuff, and he's like so fired up. I'm so excited about this kid.
Yeah, he looks like a leader.
Yes, definitely.
It's always good when a kid commits and then immediately becomes recruiter.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've done well today. We have played plenty of audio.
Yeah.
Jen, I might call for that as we get out. I might call for that Mike Leach one more time,
Okay.
just to laugh at that as we're exiting stage left.
Cargo, buses, campers, motor coaches, forklifts. We don't care what it is. So if you need it, Schroeder's can do it. Any more questions? No, that was all. Schroeder's Towing. Call the best hookers and now haulers in town. Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack.
All right, this is the last spot.
Your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you; it finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by, shop online today, and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. 2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta. Sponsored by Tommy's Express Car Wash, Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Pope Davis Tire. On your home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game.
And you guys are up.
Final few minutes of the program. Been a busy morning. The Heathline interview with Shane Beamer, catching up with Brad Crawford this morning and David Porter there. Coming up today around 1:20, sometime in the 1 o'clock hour, Greg Sankey, SEC Commissioner, will join Jay Phillips here at the table. So make sure you have some appointment listening there about 1, sometime between about 1 and 1:30 is what Jay is hoping for. Also, Ben Portnoy of the state will stop by. We were hanging out with Ben last night. Ben, there was some confusion as to whether Leonardo DiCaprio could play him in a movie or not. I believe we came to the conclusion that was a big no, Patrick. Big no on that one. So, Patrick, it's been a really busy morning for us. We played audio, we've had guests. What do you take away as we go into day 3?
Now, as a South Carolina fan, I'm wondering how many just completely check out of SEC Media Days. I mean, Shane Beamer's talked, and that's kind of what the buildup is for. And you're interested to hear Saban and Sankey and maybe the big names, but I'll be interested today to hear Kirby Smart talk. Obviously, there's a huge weight off of his shoulders, and all Georgia fans, as evidenced by the fact that they're still asleep, even though it's SEC Media Day for Georgia. The Alabama fans were out at 5 in the morning yesterday, and they didn't even win the championship last year, so their passion has not gone away, but it seems like Georgia's has after just one championship. So I'll be interested to see if complacency starts to set in and see how Georgia will react this year, but interested to see how Kirby Smart's going to talk about that. And Sam Pittman, I think we kind of know what we're going to get from him. And I will be interested to see Billy Napier's first introduction to the stage at SEC Media Days. Oh, yeah. I think you're right about Arkansas and Kentucky because for some reason I think we just subconsciously, or college football subconsciously, gives credit to the West. Yeah. And I think there's just something about being in the West that people are like, wow, that Western Conference, that Western Division is so good. And the East, you just kind of think that they're like little brother. Yeah.
For joining us yesterday with Heath Klein. Thank you to Brad Crawford for stopping by this morning to be a part of the program. Thank you to David Waters. Jen, excellent work, man. I know we had a lot of audio that we wanted to get to. And Patrick, it's been an interesting 2 days. Hopefully day 3 will be just as interesting.
One more day. Today should be interesting. It's all South Carolina opponents and then the home stretch. Then we're on the home stretch.
Hope everybody has a fantastic day. Pearson Fowler is next. We're back live here in Atlanta at noon. We'll see you in the morning.
2022 SEC Media Days from Atlanta.
Sponsored by Tommy's
Integrated Media, Elite Lawn and Landscape, and Hope Davis.
All right. We almost made it. We're halfway through Media Days, everybody.
Almost there. Yeah, almost there. So ready to go. We got a Brave affiliate luncheon or 5 o'clock like happy hour we got to go to. It's tough being a media member here. A Braves affiliate luncheon at 5 or tailgate, and then they've got the final event for the media tonight at Stat Sports Bar. So I'll try and keep Jay and Heath. Oh, and I got to you got to remind me about that fish story.
Oh yes, I do. I've got that
Fish
on my
story.
list. Okay.
The
And
fish
tomorrow?
story of Jay Phillips and.
No, that
It's a
sounds
good tease.
That is a good tease. We'll have Fireflies tickets to give away tomorrow morning.
All right. There you go.
Fireflies tickets. We'll do that as well.
Yep.
All right, everybody.
Have fun.